Do you want to be a part of the CoCo community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCoNation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, CoCo thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, CoCo commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or CoCo Tech. Join the CoCoNation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCoNation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
The CoCoNation show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCoNation show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCoNation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
All right, today's show is going to be fun.
Yay.
Aren't they always?
Let's see. Let's start this. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoCoNation show, episode 433. Oh, yeah, my Stream Deck has basically lost half the buttons. So that must be the latest OBS update has scrambled my Stream Deck.
Another helpful update, yes.
Yeah.
That means you have
so-
less to keep track of. It should make it easier, shouldn't it?
Yeah, but when I go push a button, nothing happens.
Why
Did they fall under the desk?
Oh, so you have to like pull up OBS pull up OBS and go clicking with your mousey.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to reprogram some the missing buttons here. It's like this one's okay, but this one's not, and this one's not, and that one's okay. My Nick Marotta clip worked. So, all right, this will be fun. All right, let's see. On the chat today, or not the chat, the panel, we start off with Kevin Holloway
Hello, everybody.
and Mark B with less buttons to push today. Let's see, Sloopy Malibu.
Hi, and press that like button.
And subscribe.
Ring the bell.
Let's see, Wingnut. What you got on the grill today?
Nothing. Just I'm on the couch chilling. How are you? Good afternoon.
All right. All
Chilling.
right. And let's see. Next row we got Henry Strickland.
Hello, world. I've got new toys, and I'll tell you about them soon.
Okay. And we've got
Hey, Henry.
Super Ron Deluxe.
Hi, I'm in the anything can and will happen department.
Mhm. Well, see, Alan's here, so you know. Next over, Marco.
Hello there. So glad to be here and glad to see Henry.
And Ken Waters, and that's a new shirt.
Yes, it is. And hi, I'm done traveling for a few days anyway.
Until you
Okay.
go back for your joystick?
Yeah. I got to drive 3,000 kilometers to go pick up a $5 joystick.
Well,
Well, it's
I
$5.
see-
Yeah.
Your priorities are in the right place. All right, next row we've got Rick Euland
Hi.
and L Curtis Boyle.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
I should have said special guest.
Ken and me both at this point.
But I missed last week.
Yeah, first time.
I didn't.
And last but not least, we got Alan, Exile in Paradise.
Why, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm sure it's going to be an amazing and fun ride for everyone. I hope those screens are green.
Alan, lay
That's
off
a
the
good
Diet
David
Dr.
Ladd
Pepper.
impression. Yep.
Speaking of which, I haven't heard from David in a while.
He's
I
around, he's
have.
just laying low.
He's chugging along. He's been wrestling with someone ran into his car and creamed it really badly and
Good
then
new
drove
insurance.
off. So he's
Oh.
having to deal with reality for a while.
Okay. Let's see. In the chat, we got early in the morning, Brian Blake, Kevin Holloway, Michael Zwiffle, Canadian Retro Things, J. Jones, 3141, Jim Rye, Wayne Campbell, Sixy, Tim Lindner, Peter Willard, Tom Eric Gunderson, Brian Walsh. Where are you? Okay, there we are. Jim Gary, William Athing, 8 Bits in the Basement, Slippy. Can't remember if I said Jim Rye already. And Marco. All right, we're caught up.
Maybe you should write these things down if you can't remember them.
Yeah, well, they change so fast. I gotta just remember from the top of the list to the bottom of the list, and it just kind of.
What if he forgets where the list is?
Oh, that's right here in front of me.
Ah.
That day's coming.
Hmm.
He already lost his buttons.
That's right.
I haven't been able to talk to my monkey since Jane died.
Right?
Jane Goodall.
Yep, yeah, she just passed away.
Let's see. Okay, let's start off with some project updates. Tell you what, Henry, let's see what you got.
Okay.
Show us your new toy.
All right. The new toy is actually not designed by me, although I did have the circuit made using another guy's Gerbers, and I should have written his name down, but you can find him on the CoCo Discord in either the TFR9 or the KeyCAD channel. And what this is it's basically a Pi Pico 2, but it's using the B version of the RP2350 microcontroller, the big black chip in the middle. It's using the B version instead of the A version. And boards that use this are sometimes called Plus or sometimes called XL or XXL. But the advantage of the B version is it has 48 GPIO lines instead of 29. And of those, like 45 are usable. And so this guy did a circuit board that uses a DIP 60. So there's 30 pins on either side, and every single one of the 48 GPIOs comes out on one of those pins, and so they're all usable. The nice thing about having more than 40 is that the edge card that plugs into the cartridge port on a CoCo. Let's see if more light even makes it
looks
more
like
better.
a Bodge Fest.
Yeah. So the edge card has got 40 pins, and only really 38 do we use these days because 2 of them have weird voltages, and we usually just leave them off. And so there's a pin that can monitor every single signal on here if you wanted to. Not just monitor, but either read or write to it, because the RP2530 is also now 5-volt tolerant, even though this is a 3.3 volt system and the CoCo is a 5-volt system. They can tolerate each other's voltages. So I have no glue chips on here. This is wire wrapping just absolutely directly from the GPIO pins on here, like these 16 purple wires are the address bus. These 8 purple wires are the data bus. The red ones here are halt and reset, and then there's a couple more in there for read write. And
Henry, how did you mount that on the board?
Oh, you see the blue tape that's like taping it to the back, kind of like right there. See some more blue tape showing through that hole. Yeah, there's a little rolled up blue tape in between there, because after I put headers on and solder them, they don't stick through the little green circuit board there far enough to hold themselves in the proto board. And what's more, this doesn't destroy the proto board. And all this is wire wrapped, so I just use my wire wrap tool and 30 gauge wire, and it doesn't take too long. You get back into the rhythm just like it's 1977 again. Doing the wire wraps.
So 50 years ago.
So
yeah.
This is cool. If it had a feature, it would be like your plug-in bus monitor, and I could give up my 50 little fly wires and external PC logic analyzer.
Exactly. So that is actually my first application. Is I'm going to try to capture the address and data bus and whether it's reading or writing, for a few thousand cycles and get it off through the USB tether to a PC that can then take that data and join it with the assembly language source code for whatever the code is that you're running on the CoCo, and you get a disassembled, even with comments, original comments, trace of what was going on. So that's one application. Another is there's all kinds of cards that you can add with I2C or SPI interfaces, little sensors, little displays, little keyboards, and SD cards speak SPI. So basically just add a connector. Again, I don't think there's any glue chips are needed for an SD card SPI interface.
Well, that's super cool. There are so many neat little chips that are I2C.
Yeah,
something that the CoCo just can't do by itself. It's just not fast enough.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So here it is.
Can also do spoon feeding because I have control of address bus, data bus. I can monitor E. I've got control of halt and SLENB. I guess we call that SLENB.
SLENB.
Yeah, which tells all of the RAM and IO devices, at least in CoCo 1s and CoCo 2s. I've still got some questions what goes on in CoCo 3s, but in CoCo 1s and CoCo 2s, actually it's been working in CoCo 3s too. We can take control of these buses completely while booting up and feed it artificial data into its memory. And I call that spoon feeding. So that replaces ROMs to some degree, at least if you can get code into RAM to start with. And if the CPU can get going fast enough, like I've gotten these going to 270 megahertz on the ARM cores that are inside the microcontroller on my TFR9 before, reliably. If that's all running fast enough, we might be able to be a MU, where we can get the CoCo to use RAM, which is actually stored in this built into the microcontroller, and do the memory mapping unit trick and make it look like OS 9 level 2 is running. I think it would that's a stretch goal. I don't know if we'll actually get there, but to be able to be like the MOOH, the MU for the CoCo 1 and the CoCo 2 that
and Dragon.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of things we can do with this. I made these boards. I made 5 samples. This is not an ad, but where I made them is JLCPCB. And the guy's repo on GitHub that I copied, and I just made his design exactly off of his Gerbers. He's also got the bill of materials and the positions file in the format for JLCPCB. And so I just sent them off and said, send me 5 of them. And even here in the United States of America, I got these made for $150 for 5 samples. So right now these are like $30 a piece, which is pretty pricey. But I modeled if I had made 50 of them, it would bring the price down to $10 a piece. I could do 50 of them for $500 that way. And that makes it actually competitive with buying your own Plus or XXL version of a Pi Pico, except that I've now got the KiCad files, and I can put my own chips and extra things on there, or I can build it onto the Color Computer Edge card. So I think this is pretty exciting, and I'm having fun with it.
When you say you had those boards made up, you actually had to populate them yourself?
No, I populated the
wires.
The headers on the edge, but everything else was put on there. I can make those for $10 a piece with all the little chips that you see on this little sized board. That's going to cost more to make the board bigger, but it's looking like really cost effective for the amount of things that you can do with this once you have it.
I got a question. Couldn't
Yeah.
you make a big board like you have in your hand with all that stuff on it already mapped and everything, you know? Or does that take way too much time and effort? And it costs probably 5 times more because it's so big.
So, Ron, yes, you can. I know what you're asking there.
Yeah.
But the reason to do it the way that Henry's done it here is so that you can play with it. When you build out a board in the schematic software and then send it off to get it made exact,
yeah,
you if there's anything wrong, you end up having to do a do-over. Whereas with a prototyping board like this, you just wire it up. Oh, I want to change this, wire something else on.
Hold the wire out.
It's a lot more flexible, but once you work it out on this, yes, you can take it over to the design of the full board.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely the correct answer. Thank you. And the way I'm thinking about it, you know, hopefully it's going to be under $20 to have an edge card that has the all this stuff on there. And
Peter Rillard said, do a Kickstarter.
unfortunately, for the next month or so, I'm going to be traveling internationally. I'm not going to be able to carry a CoCo around to debug the edge card. So I'll be working more with my other project, which is called the TFR9. This version is the TFR 905. It's got a 6309, actually the Hitachi 63C09E, and it's got a standard PiPico 2 that I have soldered down. Now the advantage of this new stuff is that I won't have to solder this down onto another card manually. We'll build those things into the next version.
How fast are you
this.
clocking that 6309?
Effectively 2.5 megahertz.
Cool.
Right now, but that's because I'm having to multiplex different parts of the 6809 to the GPIO. There's not enough pins on a PiPico or a PiPico 2 for all the signals that we need.
Yeah, and if you had enough pins, then you could take it all the way to 3.
The new one.
However, with the new one, there's enough. And so I want to get to where...
Oh, and you can lose all those support chips too, right?
Yeah, and I can lose all the support chips.
And
in
can
fact,
you clock it up faster?
My version of this that I will take traveling internationally with me is going to be, you know, one of these things that I just showed you with some headers on it and a 6809 plugged into a breadboard or something with some headers on it. And I'll just jumper wire them, or maybe I'll wire wrap them before I travel. But I don't need all that glue stuff exactly.
Make sure that when you pack it in the travel case, that it does not look like a bomb.
And it's not more than 3 ounces of liquids, or something. Yeah. It's funny. I don't think I can pick this up. I have my laptop here with one of my TFR9s mounted on it with blue tape and these switches so that I can turn it on and off when I reset it. And people in coffee shops love to ask me about this. And then I get to tell them about the 6809, about it.
That's cool.
All you wonderful people.
And William gets the wild evil scientist vibe. What do you make?
Yeah, yeah. The evil scientists, you find them in the coffee shops that way. It's a good thing.
Yeah, with this in it, I can give you better car insurance.
All right. Any more questions about that stuff? So anybody can join me on this journey. If you go on the CoCo Discord, there's the TFR9 channel under hardware. There's the KiCad or KiCad channel under hardware. And in both of those, you'll find my links to the project whose Gerbers I printed. You can make your own 5 of these and start working on it as well. There's so many things to do with it that I don't
That was
have
the
time.
Jay Vanderberg link, right?
I don't know the name of the guy. It starts with a J.
Yeah, Jay Vanderberg. I posted the link in the stream chat here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I posted a link how to join the CoCo Discord. Please do.
Okay.
Answer the questions.
Good information. Yes. Okay. I think that's what I was going to say today.
Beauty.
Did we catch Mark sleeping?
No, I'm in the middle of a project. Let's
Sleeping.
see.
He's
That's the
fixing his
project.
buttons.
No, I'm
He's
doing
trying to
something
reset his
silly,
buttons.
like stacking all of my DVDs and looking for duplicates. Like Brian has CoCos, I've got DVDs.
Right.
All right, let's see, Patrick. I think you've got a fairly short one, right?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
where am I actually? I suppose I am PCAP. So I guess the main thing is I have fixed many bugs in that Trek game I was talking about that I had hoped to finish by September, and it's still not finished, but you can at least fly around in it and do very boring things. Throw the link in the chat here. Where we're at is making the AI smarter. So
No.
you can see at the start of the turn, it's. I wish I'd prepared to talk for this. I could talk better. In any case, there were a lot of problems with the cargo didn't stay with the ship if you moved in the warp drive, and I fixed all those kind of bugs. We're getting ready for multiplayer, so every command assumes that there may be more than one person running it. It's actually starting to turn into the game it's going to be. So if you've been following along, you might want to have a look at this and see what's happening. The next update is going to be fairly minor. I've got a bunch of stuff I want the AI to do rather than just sort of blindly chase the closest person and shoot at them. So that
So
will make
Rick,
the game.
I want to know what's the secret code to destroy the warp core, and what is the secret code for the safe in your quarters?
Well, let's see. You can go into the debug mode here, and so I guess we could just jump to anywhere in the galaxy we want to, which is a good way to get out of harm's way. Yeah,
okay.
I've still got a bunch of, because the idea is the underlying game engine does a whole lot of things, and any one game doesn't need to have all of those things. However, I can throw in a debug menu where I pull in all of these things that aren't a part of this game, so I can mess with everybody's world. In any case, the whole idea behind this, it will run on like the TFR9 or any other single board computer, as long as it has a serial terminal connect. Oh, TFR9. You can get them at Connect. They even come in a handy box for not very much money. Do your own single board
Shameless
computer.
plug.
In any case, the game's starting to turn into a game. I just now have to make the AI do something interesting, so the single player game is not just repetitive, going around and mining stuff and shooting at people.
So you're writing an AI when you say the AI, correct?
Oh, exactly. It's right now it's kind of Pac-Man. It either chases you or runs away, but I have a lot more ideas and more RAM. I've switched to editing in Basic 09 40K. Since I'm not using any syscalls or anything, we got extra room to write stuff, and then we'll see how far we can pack it down and how much we can still leave in. The idea is the game is going to have more stuff in it than you can possibly load at once. So you have to decide, what does my game have? So it's been quite an adventure. Yeah.
Hey Rick, feature creep. Davey Mitchell says, looking forward to the holodeck feature. So that means you could have games within the game.
The game inside of the game, which means we're going to have to spawn another OS9 process.
Yeah,
it's doable. Yeah.
It is kind of its forte.
So yeah, this is getting away from the CoCo ecosystem has been really interesting. You don't have graphics, you know, you might not have syscalls because who knows, you know, it's very different.
Well, you could have graphics if you like run it on a graphics window and you just use a font that has some built-in graphics.
Well, yeah, I'm just going with the, well, yeah, we've kind of stumbled that way with the original, using a regular font to kind of, if it's not a letter, it's a system, you know, kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot of places to go. I'm just starting off with all you got's a terminal and, you know, ASCII printable characters.
Yeah.
What can we do with that? Because there's so many ways to make a game that can't be reproduced on any other machine. You know, I want any, if it runs Basic 09, you're good. You know, that's.
Well, I've been wanting to get Basic 09 on some actually non-OS 9 by emulating the traps.
Well, yeah, it started out as a standalone language, so
yeah,
why not? And
they decided to create the auths around the bit language later on.
And it's interesting because Basic 09 includes a lot of things that are only necessary if you don't have a graphic system. You know, print using's that kind of thing. Normally you could use character positions and stuff, but if you don't have that, you can say, I want a string of 8 characters and then an integer of 9 characters right aligned, and you can just ask Basic to do all that stuff for you. And, you know.
Yep.
Anyway, different way to go. This is way different than anything I did before.
And we'll make sure there's a port for the Moo as well.
Where Rick hasn't gone before.
Right? Boldly going.
Actually, none of us.
So anyway, that's all I invented this week. The electronic book is almost done. I don't know. I miswired the prototype, so I got to fix it.
Have you misplaced the top of your CoCo?
Oh no, I need the ACCCS, the Advanced Color Computer Cooling System. Or, well,
oh, I see.
So
you have a name for it even.
Awesome. Yeah, the little mini desk fan blowing on the power supply thing. It's a winner.
Well, I guess so. Because I haven't seen it on there in weeks, so I figured, well, it must be permanent.
Well, it's been cool. It's warm again.
I think Rick's a righteous fruit. You know, I mean, he knows where his towel is and the top for his CoCo 3.
It seems to be a common method for Rick's too, because I think Rick Adams mentioned he had to do that to finish writing Temple of Ram. He had to blow on the chip.
He had to
his fan quit working, and then he had just about passed out because he was blowing on it long enough to save it on cassette.
He hyperventilated himself. Yep, that could happen.
I think he said he switched over to the canned air. You know, you turn it upside down and then it sprays the.
Oh, it sprays.
Well, he started with the canned air, then it ran out right in the middle of the save, and it was a huge source listing. So then he had to blow on it repeatedly to keep it cool. Yeah.
They got to put that bittering agent in it too.
Right.
Oh, right. So you don't huff the thing. Just everybody huffs anything that comes out of a can nowadays, I guess.
Can you add Reefa chips in there so that we have something to look at? Sometimes?
Oh, so it explodes and makes sparkles.
But they put bittering agent in that so you don't inhale.
Someone gave me a Model 4 one time, and I plugged it in and tried it out. And my wife's going, "Is the genie coming out?" Because it was blue smoke coming out.
I had a GPS that did that, and you couldn't turn it off. You could unplug it, and it still got power. It kept smoking. Oh, jeez.
Batteries.
My little toaster TV just started doing that. The 13-inch color back there that I test everything on. You can turn it on, but you can't turn it off.
Pull a plug on.
So I added a special power strip in its honor. So
yeah, power strip switch.
Cool. I look forward to the updates on the game there. We haven't had a multiplayer game under OS 9, I don't think, since the AlphaSoft BBS, and that was a turn-based one, not a simultaneous. So
yeah, this one's still kind of turn-based, but by randomizing things, you can't tell where you are in the turn. So you've got to kind of assume it's just now. You know, you don't know what 3 people went in front of you and 5 people are coming after you. No, it's just now. This is what you got. Ooh, that's a bug. I had a point and I completely forgot it. Oh well.
Come on back later.
Yeah, I suppose we should summon our button pusher to push a button and send us on to the next place. And then I'll instantly remember what it was I was going to say.
There you go. Just turn it on and turn it off. All right, put them back on. What do we got?
Sight didn't work.
Yeah, the old door frame trick didn't happen this time. Huh?
It's like that's good.
All right. Well, next up is Brian.
A quick welcome to Nick, who just joined the call.
Ooh, hello everyone.
Hey, Nick.
Global.
Brian, after your warehouse is full, will you be going underground?
You're muted, Brian.
And your mic boom is up.
I don't think he believes you.
Okay.
There you are.
So I will. No, I was just getting my buttons here situated. I'll try to hurry up here so we can be sensitive to Ken's time here because he has to leave early. Let's see.
I'm sorry. He's got an hour and a half yet.
Well, I didn't know when we were going to do them, so I was just trying to. I'll try to hurry up here.
Either that, or he's saying it's going to be an hour and a half presentation here. He's got.
Oh no. Okay. The first thing I have here, I can't remember if I shared this or not. I know I posted some pictures online, but if I did share it already, let me know. Did I show you this to you guys yet?
Well, it was that's a 4P keyboard.
Yeah, it's a 4P keyboard. Yep. But you notice what they put on the thing right here? Did I show this? I don't remember. Did I?
I don't think
so. I don't remember this one.
I don't think so.
Okay, I know I posted some pictures online, but I can't remember if I shared it with you guys here. So yeah, I saw this out on eBay, and yeah, it's as Mark mentioned, this is a 4P keyboard that would have been that that would be that portable one where this kind of I think slides underneath the. Does it slide underneath or
yeah,
lock on the front?
Yeah,
okay,
slides underneath.
Slides underneath.
Okay. And but then what caught my eye is they had a CoCo badge on it right here. So I kind of looked at it, and then I saw this connector, which goes to a long ribbon cable here.
So did they rewire the keys, or did it work kind of as is?
Well, we'll find out here because you can see a little LED that they added and a little resetty button here. So
it certainly does look like a CoCo 2 keyboard with its screwed up cursor arrows.
So let me go ahead. I already got the cover loose here, so I can take it off here, and you can see that they did a whole little group of bodge wires here, and I won't take all the screws out from underneath, but underneath here, because it's kind of a mess and I don't want to take all the small screws out, but I'll just let you know that what they did underneath the bottom of this here is that they actually took a little razor blade. You can see where they cut traces. And then they also used the same wires here
and then rewired it. Yeah.
And basically rewired it to be a CoCo. Now I haven't tried it yet. Yeah.
So how did they get their oddball keycaps? Like the quote over the 2, which is a teletype keyboard for CoCo.
That would have been I think that would have been
standard back then. Yeah.
Even on the Model 4, they still use the teletype keyboard.
Yeah, I think until they got into the PCs, did that?
Then they go to the typewriter keyboard with the.
Yeah, Rick, that keyboard. There's a close-up picture of it on the Discord where you can see the actual Fujitsu model number. It's from a series of Fujitsu keyboards that they did for all different kinds of terminals.
Okay.
And that particular layout was one of the common ones that they did for that series of Fujitsus. So yeah, that CoCo keyboard with a keypad was factory made and exists in the wild.
Nice. Okay.
So is this a membrane board just like CoCo's are?
No, it's a switch type. So the only thing I haven't done yet is I need to obviously map this and tone it out so that way I can make some form of adapter. I'm assuming whomever made this on their CoCo, they probably had the corresponding female connector and they had it wired internally, meaning they probably had like a connector like this on the back or the side of the CoCo where they cut a hole in the case and they could just attach this straight to the external part of the CoCo. But the seller, I actually reached out to the seller and all they had was just the keyboard. So where the CoCo's at, hard to say. So I'll have to tone this out and then either make my own little adapter or something that I can go from this to a little edge card connector for the CoCo there.
Yeah, I did the
excellent
very same thing to my CoCo back in the day, except I used an actual CoCo keyboard. And yeah, it's just an RS-232 female, and just soldered it directly onto the bottom, and then those extra like reset and LED, you know, just wired them into the proper places.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the 25 pins gives you a couple of extra over the keyboard.
Right.
10, 13.
And so like when this would have been on a P4, you can see the pin header right here, and it probably went to, and you can see the groove right here. So the cable for the P4 would have went out through here, and they actually nicely cut. I mean, this is a cut hole right here, and they got a let's see if I can hold this.
That's a very nice job.
Let's here, trying to hold this together so it doesn't fall apart. But they put this nice mounted with the screws right here and everything. They have it mounted nicely. And so, yeah, right hand connector. Thank you, Mark. Yep, yep. There we go. So yeah, no, I thought they did a really nice job with this, and it has little flip up kickstand feet there, so you can raise it up. So yep, someday I'm a project list of mine that I have that seems to endlessly continue to grow. I'll see if I can't get this thing working, because I'd be kind of curious to see if the keypad, I mean, it would make sense that they would utilize this, so
I'm pretty sure they would have, because there was a Model 3 keyboard adaptation article in Color Computer News that a few people did.
Okay.
That did incorporate the keypad.
Yeah, there's no number key, so they're probably just parallel together. So a 7 is a 7, whichever 7 you push.
Well, the other part I'd be kind of curious too would be, would they have maybe done these F1 and F2? Was this CoCo 2 or could this have been CoCo 3? Hard to.
Oh,
well, CoCo 1s and 2s have those empty spots in the matrix that can handle 4 extra keys too, because that's what some of the third-party keyboards used to do.
Right, so it may
correct. Yeah,
it may just be weirdly done.
And what's really curious is that's one of the earlier 4P keyboards that doesn't have the inverted T arrows on it. There are 4Ps that have an inverted T of arrows next to the caps and shift.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Didn't remember those.
So yeah, so it'd be a little bit to try to just map out the matrix here and see what comes of it. So
yeah, that's a nice job.
So if you find a loose 4P keyboard, then neat. You got all the keys you need, but some of them may have those inverted T arrows as well.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a dead 4P in the landfill somewhere.
Right.
Probably more than one.
Better not be. Get them out, fix them up.
It's sliding its way down to the core.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Let's see here. Let me find a safe place to set this. Okay.
So Brian Blake says still has the screws, probably. Hey, Brian Blake says in the comments that he made a CoCo 3 to Model 3 repack reusing the keyboard. He said the keypad was basically paralleled, as stated. Don't recall anything special in getting the numpad to work.
Oh, okay.
So it should be straightforward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep. Thank you. So let's hear. A few months ago, I think it's been now, I showed some books that I got from Alan Huffman that I picked up on the way to CoCo Fest. And it was some microware books for OS 9 for the 68,000. And so it just happened to be, and then of course in the interim, from James Jones, I got I have his AT306, which is a 68,000. And then just recently here, I would say it's been it's been 6 weeks ago, a gentleman by the name of Brad I think it's Callahan, on the I think it was an OS 9 Facebook group. Anyway, he had some books that he was offering up, and so I reached out to him. And here's the books that he got. They're microware. They're in the nice little cardboard binder here. This one here, let's see which order I got them in here. Okay, so this one here is OS 9 68,000 operating system manual. It says it's the user manual. I haven't really flipped through them too much though, but I'm assuming this would be kind of the equivalent of what we would have had for the OS 9 on the CoCo. Some kind of an operating manual that microware would have put out at the time. So there's that one. And then he also had, here's another, it's also in the same sort of cardboard box. This one here is using professional OS 9. I'm not sure what that Curtis, do you know
Probably
what I
an
mean?
application.
Would professional be an application? You're muted, Curtis.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Professional OS9 had a couple of packages included that normally were separate things you purchased, like say
Okay.
the networking file manager and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. So this would have
Okay.
had a few things that were not stock on the cheaper OSK.
Okay. So there's that one, and none of these have discs. These are just the manuals. He also had this one here he was offering, and this one here would be the C compiler for the 68K user's manual.
Old C.
What's that?
Old C.
Old C.
Not Ultra
Yeah.
C.
Yeah, Ultra C would have been OS 9000. That was more advanced. Well, C++, wasn't it, Rick?
Yeah, it was headed that way, as I recall.
And then he also had this one here, and I don't see any reference to OS 9 or anything like that, but he still offered it, so I grabbed it. So Rick, I'll need your assistance here. It says Sculptor.
Oh, what version is the
Yes.
manual for, I wonder?
That is, I have that version. That is the CoCo version. Yeah, it's a full database. You can write reports and things in Sculptor to do a lot of what you would do with DBase or something like that. The company's still alive today, and they're still selling the great
modern version,
grandkid of this product.
Yeah, and Frank Hogg, I think, sold the CoCo version. Weren't they the distributors?
Yeah, they were, and like I say, the reason you don't see it anywhere is because the company still lives. So this is one of the few CoCo things that isn't.
So this is 4th edition, issued March 1986.
So it's not public domain yet.
This is
No, it's still a commercial product.
This is still a commercial product. This is the day before they added sequel to it. The very next version of Sculptor had sequel. So
yeah, because the original one was sold for like IBM PCs, it was sold for Macs, it was sold for VAX,
everything
mainframes, all
that
kinds
lit
of
up,
things.
and it could make a terminal type. And you wrote all your reports and everything here, so it was kind of one-stop shopping. You had your database, you had your report engine, you had your display video generator, and graphing and all kinds of things come in with this. It's an incredibly complicated program, and it was incredibly expensive. I think this was one of those $500
And I think wasn't the CoCo the only 8-bit system that got it, and it required 512K in OS 9.
The gimmicks.
I noticed the installation instructions are a little thin on the first tab.
There's not much to install. You stick it on the hard drive and it runs. That's how OS 9 works.
No, the first tab.
This one?
No, back further.
One we skipped over?
Yep. See installation instructions?
Oh, yes.
It's a little thin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't picking up there, Mark.
More there?
I got my serious hat on right now, not my, sorry, I missed that one. So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, went right over. So anyway, so I appreciated him giving me the opportunity to buy these from him. So, but I love these padded manuals. I don't know why, it just kind of neat. But anyway.
Well, that screamed expensive.
What's that?
That screamed expensive.
Oh yes, there you go. Ooh, luxury.
Yeah. Do I have a price list here?
Yeah, that's why I don't feel bad about spending hundreds of dollars for that in 1980s dollars.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, it would save you from spending thousands on DBase or something like that. So it was actually cost effective if you had a company and you could run it, on this size hardware.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to share with you guys here, I just recently got this. So a few months ago, maybe it was just a month and a half ago. From James Jones, he had two external hard drives. Those were SCSI based. One was connected to a Burke and Burke, and the other was connected to a Disto with a 4-in-1 controller. And we're not sure yet. I haven't been able to pull an image yet. It's one of the things I'm actually hoping to do this weekend, using the blue SCSI to pull an image from those. So we'll find out, because we're hoping that one of those drives was actually owned by Carl Creeder. So that would be cool if there was something there that we could rediscover. But then here about 2 weeks ago, another drive popped up, and on the top of the drive was this controller, no label. And what was a little hard was you can see this. This is 1/2 of a ribbon cable connector. Here's your pins that would puncture it in, and there'd be the little strap that would go over, and you'd compress
It's the
this right
ribbon
here,
in
right?
place.
And
Yeah.
and this was plugged in here, so I couldn't really see the edge card connector, but I could almost count the pins, and it looked like 40. So I'm like, okay, this is looking pretty CoCo-ish. But again, no label, so I wasn't sure what it was. But what gave me a good feeling that it probably was is that it said OWL on top of it. So you see me share the OWL floppy drive and their controller. But if you look like in the rainbow and you look under some of the ads, you'll see that they do talk about their external drives that they had as well. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, I shared with you guys the Superboard that was made by what was it, LTR or LRT?
LRTech.
LRTech. Oh, thank you, LRTech. And they sold some of their stuff through OWLware. And if you look at the ad there, they talk about pairing it up with their external drive. So this was there, and this was kind of like on top, again, with this here plugged in. So I wasn't 100% sure, so I took the gamble. And when I removed this, and then when I took the screws off, you can see here, is it zoomed in enough? You can see here, yep, it's LRT, and this is their SCSI controller that they sold. So, and one of the items in the stuff that I got from James Jones was one of these. So I was able to compare it, and yep, this is a CoCo drive. So what's inside this thing? I won't take the covers off of it right now, but what's inside this thing? Get enough of an angle? Can you guys kind of see it a little bit?
No, it's a black space.
5 1/4.
Yep. So what's inside here is, what's inside here is two ST225s. MFM drives. They would be 20 meg drives. So there's two of them connected, through the SCSI going inside here.
Does it have terminators on the back?
Yep. Well, one of them has terminators and the other one doesn't, so they are connected properly. And the terminator resistor is actually removed off the one board, off the one drive. And what's nice is that it's actually taped onto the side. And so, and they even had a date on it too. What was the date? Let me bring up a picture here real quick. Not on the back. There's not much to see there. I can show it real quick, but just power is all that's really there. Stand by here. Let me look here. Where's my picture at? Picture. Here it is.
Only question is, I was gonna say, the only question is, the last guy who unplugged this ripped it off the Y cable so angrily that it ripped the Y cable apart.
Yep.
So is there something wrong, or did his CoCo explode?
Yeah, I was gonna make a point to that. Yeah, because so my guess is that whoever had this before, because I actually checked out, I actually reached out to the seller and asked him if there was like a ribbon cable laying there with some similar connectors, and he's like, "Oh, I got a whole box of stuff here to go through." He never responded, and I said, "Well, if you find it, throw it in the box before you ship it." And well, nothing got included. But yeah, so and it may have come to him that way because he's just a reseller. So yeah, so to Rick's point there, this is probably connected using one of the Y cable options that were available back in the day, and because this actually says number 2. So my guess is that back in the day, you probably would have had a floppy disk controller plugged into 1.
Exactly.
This plugged into 2. You'd boot to a floppy disk to get into OS9, and then from there you would get onto your drive here.
So the question is, why was he so angry when he unplugged this?
right. So, but yeah. So on the let's see if this will come through on my phone. If you can see the date of the.
Yep.
So that's the terminator resistor that's removed off the 1, and it says 11/9 of 90. So so it is, this would have been towards the latter part. 90. Let's hear that we would have had the CoCo 3 by then, right?
Right.
So this might have like some OS9 level 2. We'll see what's on these drives. I got my MFM emulator. I'm gonna try to pull some images today. So
she ran 35 years ago, so why not?
Right. So
Yeah.
we'll.
Also, I took a look at Sculptor. I just found an ad in Rainbow June of '88. So Sculptor normally retailed for $450.
Okay.
And Frank Hogg had a big sale on at the time for $150.
Nice.
Okay.
Budget Sculptor.
No serial number.
But the one with sequel never went down. That sucker was like $695 or something the last time I looked it up.
So on the back, there's not much to really see there. I don't know. There's a power connector, power switch.
Well,
They
that's
got
all. That's all braided cable, huh?
Oh yeah, braided cable, and there's a piece of. You can kind of see my finger. I'm trying to move it a little bit. This is just a piece of cardboard that's folded over the edge because it's a sharp metal.
Oh, so it doesn't get cut on the edge.
So the ribbon cable wasn't rubbing or whatever. Yeah. So, but this is the exact same case. So that drive that I pulled an image from that Curtis took a look at, and we found out that it was a florist or a botanist or whatever. This is the same. This is the same chassis, exact same chassis. So I'm guessing that maybe because that drive that previous one that I just spoke of didn't have this sticker on it, but it was also connected with a Burke and Burke. So I don't know if this was a chassis that OWL used, or was this just a common off-the-shelf cabinet?
It was a common off-the-shelf one because Frank Hogg used these for their eliminator ones too. We had one at work.
Okay. The same. So yeah. So this was an off-the-shelf, and then OWL just put their sticker on it.
So once you're past the floppy drive power supply, you got to get one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is the power supply in that case and a switch on the back.
Yeah, there's a switch on the back. There's a power on the back.
Is it the rocker kind or the little knob?
Yeah, it's a rocker.
It's a rocker switch. Yep.
So that box is heavy enough. If you swing it by the cable, you could kill somebody pretty easy.
or break your toe.
Yeah, or anchor a boat or something. Yeah.
What's interesting about this one is that the previous one that I spoke about, the one that the florist had, the drive was on the bottom, and the interface board was on top. With this one here, the interface board is on the bottom, and all the drives are mounted upside down, meaning the stepper motor for the head. Normally, you would see that on the bottom because you know how the drives look, where they're kind of a big steel tank looking thing, right? Well, the drives are actually upside down in here, so I'm not that it really makes any difference. They can run sideways, upside down.
I wonder if that was to keep the interface cool, so they put it on the bottom.
They might have, yeah. So. But
let the drives cook as they cook. But now you got to flip it over so the cables line up because you don't have room in that case to flip that cable over.
This ribbon cable goes in and then goes underneath the drives because where this ribbon cable connects is towards the front on the bottom there. And then there's little LED indicators for everything. But anyway, so
nice.
So I got this here to pull. I got 2 images to pull, one for each drive. I got the 2 SCSI drives from James Jones. So got some archival work ahead of us here to look and see what hidden treasures we might have. But this is a super long cable. This ribbon cable, it's about 5 feet long. So
right. The hard drives were hidden under the desk in the corner where no one could find them.
So anyway,
a heck of a good antenna.
Right on the bottom, no sticker.
Well, that's why it's all twisted and
So the twisting here should help with that. But anyway. That's all I got for you guys today. Unless anybody else has any questions, I'll pass the baton back over.
I want that cable, man.
All right. Let's go ahead and take commercial break and come back and do the game on results. Game on challenge. Hey, my one button that's left.
Does it work?
No, it does
Didn't
not.
work.
All right, I'll have to do
Pull
this
up
later.
OBS, slide the mouse over, click on the thing.
Okay, now I got to find the right mouse.
Divide by 4, find the right monitor.
Now I got to remember all the steps that button was supposed to do and do them manually now. Take it.
Life is hard.
Yep. All right, let's see. Let's try this one.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo Aaron, joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents. You're watching CoCoNation.
feel like they should have been longer.
The CoCoNation Show would like to thank the following patrons: AC's 8-Bit Zone, Alex Gare, Alan Huffman, Barry Tompkinson, Boysen Tech, Brendan Donnie, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Karen Askham, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, David Ladd, Derek Smithson, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Frederick Segard, Glen Hewlett, Graham Whacky, Grant Leedy, Henry Gernhardt, Henry Strickland, Jason Warrens, Jeffrey Drywater, Jim Mullis, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Kevin Holloway, Michael Hill, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Richard Harding, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Bateson, Terry Trapp, TJB Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons. If you would like to support the CoCoNation show, sign up at patreon.thecoconation.com.
Hey everyone, I'm TJB Chris, and I'm watching the CoCoNation live show, and so are you. And probably shouldn't be pointing that thing at you. Enjoy!
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
I can't do that, Dave. There were no new members in Discord this week. The preceding bios were edited for time. Thanks to Boysen Tech, Frederick Micro Hobbyist Sigard, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, Wingnut 2626, and the CoCoNation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
Welcome everybody to the CoCoNation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Flippy. We had a total of 16 players. We had Mark B with 4125, Mark O with 8750, Ed Rhodes 11,500, Retro Rick 12,750, Jim Rye 15,375, Tom C 16,500, Chris B, 16,750, Canadian Retro Things, 18,375, Mike Zweifel, 19,625, Sloopy Malibu, 21,125, Wingnut, 2626, 22,125, Lee Perkins, 25,250, Coconut Bob, 26,250, Shenley, and Doug V 4850 tied for second place with 29,250. And this week's number one score is Dr. Ted with 35,875. Thanks everybody that played, and we will see you again next week.
And the CoCoNation salutes Dr. Ted.
Salute. All right, so one of those games where Dr. Ted didn't actually annihilate everybody.
Yeah, but he's won 2 weeks in a row. That's kind of a trend.
Well, he always wins, but I mean, usually he beats the next highest player Well, he did win a couple of times.
He was down for a while, but he's coming back, man.
He's back. He's back. But usually his scores are like double, triple the next person in line. So,
like I said, he's coming back. Got to work that out, you know.
So Flippy was based on an arcade game, which I can't think of the name of right now.
Isn't it Kickman or something like that?
Yeah, Kickman. So, I don't know what to say about it. It's actually a pretty good version of the game, and I would say it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of players playing it this week, so what did everybody else think of this game?
Yeah, it's playable.
I don't have any interesting facts.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the level 3.
It does get, as Dr. Ted was pointing out, when you get up to the higher levels, it starts getting fairly unfair with dropping like 2 balloons at once on either side of the screen. So
Yeah,
there's
you can never make it.
absolutely there's absolutely no possibility of being able to get them both. So
Yeah, its author, Roger Smith, was a pretty prolific game writer himself and published most of his stuff, I think, through T&D Software. He had a couple commercial stuff, if I remember.
yeah. I was trying to find other Roger Smith games because everybody wants to play more Roger Smith games, but
We've played some of his already. I think Skyway was one of his. The one that kind of looks like Zaxxon.
Yeah.
That was one of his, too.
Yeah, what would be really helpful is if someone who had a long game list on their website
would start working on it again.
So
and,
yeah,
and
that
maybe
too.
do things by author and publishing company so you can search.
I think I have a reserve link for that. There's just nothing in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sort by author, sort by publisher, sort by year.
I think I called them indexes.
Yeah. Yeah, indexes. That's a good name for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned that.
Yeah.
I don't have any, but I mentioned it.
I mean, it's a good thought.
I did get, the clones pages at least got a good start to it.
Yeah.
But I don't think this one's in there under Kickman.
Is this like academia where it's a problem left for the exercise left for the reader?
No, it's just I'm lazy.
No, it's something Curtis will have done before,
death.
Yeah.
2 days before his wedding date.
Yeah, of course, if the wedding date happens, then we won't hear from Curtis at least
ever
for a
again.
year or two. Yeah, so anyways, a really quite a good playable game.
Yeah, it's a fun one. I mean, the original arcade game had Pac-Man and stuff in it, which made no sense. This actually makes a bit more sense, to be honest. Train seals kicking balloons up makes more sense than, Pac-Man riding on a unicycle type thing.
I honestly, I kind of remember the original game, but I can't remember enough about it to even...
See, I didn't, like, when I first saw it, somebody else, I think, pointed out to me it was a clone of Kickman. Then I looked it up and played it in MAME, but I'd never seen the game in the arcade before.
I think I had seen it, but it just didn't... I just kind of looked at it and thought, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, there was an arcade that had like a small section in the corner of old games from the 70s and very early 80s, and it was there, and no one ever went into that section.
Oh, that's
well, Galloping Ghost has got to have it, right?
And if it works.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, every game I wanted to play when I went there was not working properly.
Oh, poor Sloopy.
Yeah.
What?
Michael Zweifel in the chat mentions he liked Flippy. Just to let you know.
Good. So, does anybody actually have any tips or tricks for this game? I didn't really get enough of a chance to play it over the last 2 weeks to think of much.
A good analog joystick, though.
Yeah.
I do have one tip. When the balloons are coming down on opposite sides, go over and hit one so that it goes at an angle, then go back and kick the first one, and then the other one should come closer to you so that you can go back and get it and kick it back up.
Get them both in the middle.
Yeah. That was the only way I could figure out how to get them when they came down on opposite sides. But I mean, if they're at the very ends, it won't work. But if they're a little bit in, then that's the only way you're going to be able to get through that without losing some balloons.
Yeah, okay. There, you hear that, Dr. Ted? Now you should be able to score 100,000.
Just give me credit in the high score post. But yeah, I kept getting nailed to the wall with the multiple balloons.
Yeah.
It seems
I had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah, it seems your best bet is to minimize your losses, because I mean, the first game I played, I lost like 4 or 5 balloons on the first time it happened, because they came down on either side, and then all of a sudden I had all these balloons that it was difficult to get them to stack. So your best bets when they come down is to catch as many as possible, because there's only a certain number of balloons that'll come on the screen at once that stack up. So get as many stacked up so that you can you limit the number that you have floating around.
Yeah. So
I guess the one recommendation to make is make sure you're using an analog stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing it with the digital one, which is a lot harder.
Yeah.
I was using my Tech Dungeon analog stick.
Yeah, Michael's actually mentioning he enjoyed using the color mouse on his CoCo 3, so he actually played with an actual mouse.
See, I tried using the mouse on VCC, which was fine, except that when I was trying to get across the screen really quickly, I kept
getting out of the window and it goes off focus and you can't control it anymore.
Getting off the window. But actually, what it was is it was closing the window on me, putting it behind other things that I'm like, oh crap, and then I could.
That burns me on VCC all the damn time. There, you could just outside the window, you're trying to click buttons too and stuff, and all of a sudden now you're out of the thing. You're not controlling it at all.
There you go. If any of the VCC developers are out there, then you should be able to set your when you're using the mouse as the controller, you should be able to like click something to keep the mouse within the confines of the window that it won't leave.
Yeah, some hotkey to mean it's going to capture the mouse outright versus let it flow around.
Yeah.
Float around.
There you go. Hear that, VCC developers?
BJ sometimes watches the show, so you might catch that. Or you can just hit him up on the VCC channel and Discord.
Jim does some stuff with the VCC too, doesn't he?
Jim.
Right?
Does he? I'm not really sure. Development-wise, or is he a tester or something? I'm not sure.
It might be a tester or something. I don't know. Anyway.
I know, I'm never on the show, so I have no idea.
Yeah, that's true. Who are you anyway? Why are you even talking?
That's the Nitrous 9 EOU guy.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, him and Nick Morantes are the two big Nitrous 9 people.
And Wayne Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick's gonna let that slide. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I just heard noise there. I thought I lost connection for a second.
Just a bunch of static.
Hallucinating
That's all it
bone noise again?
It's just repeating the letters BS, BS, BS.
No, that was those other posts we saw on Facebook, which we'll probably briefly discuss.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Flippy was a fun game, and the other game that we played was another Roger Smith game, which was Weirdo, which is based on, I think, Whacky. Is that the name of the arcade game?
Something like that, yeah.
Or Wacko.
Oh, yeah, there was another Roger Smith game I think you guys already played on the Game and Challenge. That was kind of a 3D one with these moving squares, and you had this things floating around. You had to shoot them down like mines and stuff. I remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Like a well type thing where you're going down into a well?
No, it's like a 3D plane where you're watching the ground scroll by, and it's just, crisscross lines type thing to represent 3D.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. That was another Roger Smith. So there's at least 4 that he did. And they're all pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So, Wacko. Yeah, it's another one of the games where you have to shoot pairs of things. So,
yeah,
or
it's the
Weirdo,
second clone we
I
had
guess.
in the CoCo for that particular game. The first one was the arcade animation by MG Lustig.
Yeah,
I think we played that one already.
I think so.
And also, I'd like to point out about Weirdo. A thank you to Retro Rick for recommending it, because you don't want to know what game I chose instead.
There's not another version of Neutroid, is there?
Hey,
no, it's the game Neutroid is based on.
We can only dream.
And by dream, we mean nightmare. Anyway, sorry.
All right, so yeah, so see if you do recommend games, we will play
Occasionally.
them. As long as, especially if you're recommending them to me, you just got to keep like smacking me with a hammer till I remember that you recommended them.
Yeah,
I've got a great memory. It just lasts only for like, what was I talking about?
Yeah, he recommended it in the Game On channel, like 30 seconds before I was about to announce the new game, or maybe.
Okay.
So
now I did want to ask Sloopy and Ken a question here, because I think it was last week or the week before we announced that the Spy Hunter version 2, which adds the helicopter and stuff that Richard has added onto the game. Does that make it re-eligible for being in the Game On Challenge if a game's actually getting an update that actually is adding new features, or you still kind of like, that's been done, we're done?
It'd have to be a significant improvement.
I think more of the bad guys from the original game is a significant improvement.
Yeah.
Like not just changing the color palette or something like that. So
yeah, like a CoCo 3 patch or something for RGB or something.
Adding things to it like that.
Yeah, if you go from a like 1.3 to 1.5, 1.7, I mean, no, it wouldn't be eligible. But if you went from like 1.3 to 2.6, then yes.
Okay.
Unless
and then something like if we did a 6 or a 9 optimized version, which I've done for a few games where the game now plays, twice as fast and smooth or something like that, does that count, or is that more just a 1.1, 1.2 thing?
Yeah, I mean, smoother play is not although it's a great improvement, I would say it's not eligibility.
I would like to point out that these are all Sloopy's opinions, and yeah, if I feel like playing them because I like them, I will do it.
There you go. Does the change the score?
With that being said, I have played games that have been played before on the Game Mountain Challenge that didn't have any changes in them.
That's true.
He has Neutroid running in a permanent VCC instance up in the corner, basically. It's part of his screensaver.
XROAR, thank you.
Oh, sorry, XROAR.
But no, I mean, there's no real. I mean, when I'm choosing games, I'm just trying to find one that's not going to get the pitchforks and torches out. And
come on, sometimes that's the fun part.
Unless it's something that's going to be very difficult to do the scoring for, and Ken's doing the scoring the next time, then definitely I'll pull something out that's going to be.
Yeah. No, I just always wanted to ask that because I didn't know what the rule was or if there was a rule that's ever been discussed before. Because there are some games we could revisit. Either they're greatly sped up or added features like Spy Hunter with the helicopter added.
Yeah. No rules that I know of.
Rules?
Yeah.
You don't have those stinking rules.
There are only 2 rules that I know of. One, what the very last game is going to be.
Yep.
And 2, I'm not allowed to play any game that is or plays like Neutroid.
Oh, you forgot rule 3. All bribes go to me.
No, that's not a rule. That's a
that's a recommendation.
That's your personal preference.
All right. So, anyways, getting back to Weirdo.
Shouldn't talk about Sloopy that way.
Do we have any actual tips or tricks for this game other than? Yeah. I found that just sticking. There's no time limit or anything, which is a nice thing. So if you just stick to the kind of the middle of the screen, it's the easiest to avoid getting hit. And just
the only recommendation I really have is don't use a self-centering joystick.
Yeah, that makes it harder. But yeah, there's been some pretty high scores posted already for that game, so we'll see how.
I was going to ask you, Ken and Sloopy, now that summer holidays is over and people are back to school and stuff, and have you been noticing an uptick on people coming in? Like, had it slowed down over the summer as far as participants?
Actually,
go ahead, Sloopy.
On the Game On Live, I've noticed the last few weeks there have been fewer players. I guess people are getting their fall accommodations for the winter coming together.
Oh, that could be.
You would think school just started.
Taking out the snowblower, putting away all the summer stuff.
Driving from their summer home to their winter home.
Ron has
over
no
the
idea what we're
s-
talking about, but actually he does. He's
Right.
from Rochester.
Spending time with their girlfriends instead of coming to the Game On Challenge live. I mean, the usual stuff.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about there.
Yeah.
Curtis, I would just
Yes.
like to point out helpful advice. Notice Henry soldering. He has a fan to direct his hair away from the workpiece.
Yeah, well,
In
That
other
is a
words,
safety feature I could have used 20 years ago.
no flames.
Pro tip.
Yes.
Yeah, Curtis needs one that keeps his whole head away from the soldering iron.
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
I
it
suppose.
needs to keep the soldering iron away from me. Is more what I need a really strong fan.
Yeah.
I need that 70
how-
kilometer fan that Ken ran into when he drove through the province here.
Well,
Yeah, you know how in race cars, how like in rally and F1, they have things on their arms to hold their arms down so they don't go up. That's what.
Oh,
you
exactly. Yeah.
Well, how are you going to do the wave if you can't do that? That's my question.
Well, you're not wave soldering. You're using
Right.
soldering iron.
There we go. I'd like
Anyhow.
to see Curtis try and wave solder. That'd be fun.
Oh.
I'll wave bye-bye to the solder. That's what I'd be doing.
All right. So, anyways, getting back to Weirdo, other than kind of sticking to the center of the screen because it's easier to avoid everything and just wait for your chance to shoot things when they kind of separate from the group. That's how I was playing. It's not the quickest way to play, but
It's the way to not die.
yeah, it's a good way to not die. And I've actually figured out after only how many games have we played? 300 and some. That you don't want to die in these things.
Really? I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Unless you're
that's what
playing
the trick
two-player
is?
competitive, then you do want some other players to die.
Well, you want other people to die. I always want Sloopy to die so I can beat his score.
Yeah.
Oh, and also for the game for him to die in the game too.
Oh, wait a minute here.
That got dark fast.
Some best friend you are.
If that's your best friend, I hate to see your enemies. Oh, Daddy Burrito mentioned too. Roger Smith, another game he did. I forgot about this one because he sold it under his own company. Was Kron?
Oh yeah, Kron. We've played that one.
Yeah,
And he did another game under that that he sold with the same company. It was shoot. There's a little bit like Intercept 4 from Computer Shack, but much simpler. Can't remember the name of it, but that both of those are on my site too. But that was commercial stuff he sold on his own from Oregon Color Computer Systems, I believe it was. So he's actually up somewhere in Mark's place if he's still around. See if we can find him for an interview.
I think that they were like in Seattle or something, but maybe they're in this area. I haven't looked into the history of Oregon software.
All right. Well, shall we take a look at the live Game On Challenge?
Sure. I missed it, obviously. So
really
give Sloopy something to talk about.
Something to whine about.
Hey, it's the Game On Challenge live. And we had 5 players this week, as we were talking about earlier, lower numbers because we've been doing like 7 or 8, well, 6 or 7. And this week we had 5.
I had a conflicting event. Sorry I wasn't there. Be there next week.
Well, I'm looking more at
L Curtis Boyle.
L Curtis Boyle. Why can't we have other people there like Dr. Ted and Mike Zweifel and other notable game players that can teach us how to play so we can get better scores?
Exactly. They don't want to teach us how to play because we might beat them.
Yeah, that's it. They're
scared of us.
They're keeping all their toys to themselves and their secrets.
Because there's no physical manifestation of these people.
Oh, and Jim says
They're AI.
And Jim Rye says yes, he did work on VCC. Added the cut paste, improved the composite color palette, added the cut paste feature, added a pause feature, added remembered path names, added flip artifact colors, etc.
Oh,
I like the cut paste. The cut paste is great.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was Great time had by all that came and played. So you should be there too. Yes,
Yeah.
you know who I'm talking about. I guess Henry, we can let him slide because he's going to be out of the country.
I don't know. They have the internet in other countries.
Well, it depends on what country he's going to, because some of them can be pretty slow.
Also, Sloopy, I don't know. You saw Brian Blake in the chat says, "Yeah, if they join live, they can't cheat."
Yeah, that just showed up.
Ooh.
Yeah, but no one cheats at this game.
Ah.
I mean, there are some people that I won't point out Nick or anything, but it points out uses bugs to his advantage in other people's code because his doesn't have any code.
Not to mention Photoshop.
That's a bug in the code. So. Wow, that was a nice catch right there.
Yeah, I'm watching this. Jim is doing a pretty good job of keeping all those balloons in the air.
At least capturing them.
And so is Bob, actually.
I've got to call this a pretty original play mechanic here.
Yeah, Bob actually got like 2 balloons at once. It was really quite the spectacular move.
That's Bob Emery referring to?
Coconut Bob.
Coconut Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, normally he gets so bored with the actual game, he starts playing some of the old classics he likes. But if he's sticking with it, then that's a sign of a good game.
It's different, that's for sure.
All right. Apparently we weren't paying attention when the show was going on because we're sitting here watching this going, oh, wow, hey, well, that was a good move.
I saw the one Bob do live when it was on the show, which was pretty good. But yeah. So all you people in the chat, why aren't you on the Game On Challenge Live?
Well, if they wanted to be on the Game On Challenge Live, when and where would they do that, and how would they do that?
Well, where would be the CoCo Discord? When? Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. Let's see, what else is there?
Well, what if you're jet hopping Europe? What time then?
You have to figure that out on your own.
6 hours ahead of that.
Or if you're in Thailand.
Well, if you're in Thailand, it's 11 hours different.
If you were in the Eastern UK, it would be about 2 a.m. If you're in the Western UK, it'd be about 1 a.m.
Is Thailand 11 or 12 hours from New York time right now?
I have no idea.
I think of it as being 12 hours from New York.
Oh, I just guessed at 11, so I have no idea.
Yeah. So 8 a.m. is 8 p.m. and
so you'll be there, you're saying?
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah. I'm always up at 8 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm always up at 8 a.m. because I don't go to bed till 9. So,
but
all
I've
right,
decided not to carry a CoCo with me. I'm gonna carry the TFR9, which is tiny instead, and work on it for 3 weeks.
It's a good thing that you could just go to the Color Computer Archive and hit the Play Now button and share your screen.
That's a good idea.
All right, your lab time's only going to be about 7.5 seconds.
hey, better late than pregnant. But yeah, that's was the fun part of the show. That's how to join the show. So let's see everyone there on Thursday, and we all have a great time.
Yeah.
Back to you, Ken.
I mean, we had a great turnout for scores submitted for Flippy, so let's get all those people onto the live Game On Challenge. So, let's see, the game that we are going to play. Now, I had thought we played this game before, but according to my list, we've never played this one, or at least not this version, so thought I'd go back to an old classic.
Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe we haven't played that one. And are we going to be playing on beginner or expert?
Invader
I
type of some sort?
think we'll go with beginner because... Actually, no, wait. Let's play on expert because it's a little different than your standard Space Invaders.
Okay.
Expert.
Yeah, well, with expert, you don't get the shields, and I think you can move your character up and down a little bit, can't you?
I can't remember. I haven't played it in a while.
Who do you think is playing these games?
Oh, okay. We'll go with beginner just to make it a classic Space Invaders, the arcade version, and then sometime
But this
in the
has the
future,
unique farting noises when you kill the aliens. So
yeah. And sometime in the future, we could play this again and play it on expert, which would be a little bit of a different game because there's a little bit different to it.
Cool. So
we still haven't even said like what the game's name is. I'll tell you, it was produced by the Image Producers
Space
and then
Assault.
sold by Tandy on cartridge.
Space Assault.
Bingo. Nick earns the right to come onto the Game On Challenge live Thursday and participate.
There you go. And we will play on we'll play on beginner this time. So
okay, cool.
although I do recommend trying it on expert because it's makes it a bit of a different game, but the scores will be from the beginner level.
Yeah.
This came out in 1980, didn't it?
No, 81, I think.
81, yeah. I do remember it was one of the early ones.
It's pretty early, yeah. It wasn't in the first wave, though. This and Polaris came out in the second wave, I think.
Yeah, for the time it was all right. I just couldn't stand the way the laser base moves with the joystick.
Oh, the fact that it tracks the position of the analog stick? I quite like that because you can get the hell out of the way a lot faster than the slow button from the arcade had.
That's
another game that's difficult to play with a digital joystick.
Yeah, because basically you'll be on the left side, the middle, or the right side, and that's it.
Yeah,
definitely play with an analog or a mouse.
That's not Space Invaders.
Interesting.
What?
I went to go try it in the on the archive online, and it locked up.
Well, I don't know. I played it with my cartridge version, so.
Yeah, I've got the cartridge version, and it plays off disc fine too. So
yeah, I'm gonna try it in actual XROAR.
If you have the cartridge version, you put tape over the one pin, you can do a speed up poke on a CoCo 1 or 2 and actually play it faster too.
I think we need to make sure the version that everyone will be playing does actually work.
Right? How many threads does the archive have? Can we crash them all?
Okay. Well, you guys carry on and I'll check the archive version of this.
I'm already there.
You should be able to play the disc version in the online XROAR too. So just maybe check that. It's a 4K card, if I remember. It's not even that big.
No.
So, anyways, we can move on, Mark, if you're still awake.
Yep, still awake. Just off.
Just watching all those DVDs. That's what he's doing the past time.
Trying to figure out what button you're supposed to press now.
Yeah, because my automated isn't working today. Let's see. So.
Well, thank you for letting me know what to look forward to when I update my OBS.
Yeah, so it looks like they must have changed the tokens or something that talk to Stream Deck.
So it blows up and you have to redo every single button on your stream.
I think so, because it's because the ones that are not tied to OBS are working, and it's just the ones tied to OBS. So I just get exclamation points and looks like, huh? What do you mean?
Okay.
Okay. Now, what are we doing next? News. That's right.
Yep. Did you want to go straight in, or did you want one last commercial break?
We'll go straight in. Let's see. Where's my intro? That one.
Without an app.
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins. No matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCoNation News with L Curtis Boyle.
So since there isn't a ton of game news, I'm going to go straight into game news and kind of keep that game theme going. So first up, Alison Deneau, who actually I haven't seen in a while. I haven't seen her on Discord, but she released a new CoCo 123 game as part of her Septandy contribution that she's calling Cuthbert Gear Solid. This is part of Septandy as well. I haven't had a chance to try this. She's even got some artwork here, and you can go directly to the Google Drive link to get the disk image and the artwork if you want to take a look at it.
Well, I can tell you that Alison has been very active on Facebook.
Oh, okay. But she does say it's a new video game in extended color basic, and she did one last year too, if I remember, something about orbiting a planet. There was some trajectories and stuff. I don't remember the name, but off the top of my head, my apologies. Requires at least 32K extended basic to run. And title, as you can see, is Cuthbert Gear Solid. It uses P Mode 1, including page flipping with 3 different pages. So there's some pretty good animation stuff I'm gathering. I haven't had a chance to try it. Does anybody in the panel have a chance to try this to see what it actually looks like? And would it be worthy of a game on challenge slot is the next question. And it's free, so there's always that too. Nobody on the panel's tried it? Okay, let that be homework for all of you. Anyway, if you want to grab it, it's on Facebook in the CoCo group. You can look for this little artwork here. You'll be able to recognize the post. There's a direct link to her GitHub page, I believe it is, or Google Drive, I should say, with the game disk image. I think the source is even available separately because it's basic if you want to take a look at it without actually downloading the whole disk image and, of course, the artwork. I'm guessing it's kind of an escape style thing, but I'm not sure. And there's the actual link. The links, of course, will be in the show notes, as they are with all the stories, and any direct disk images and GitHub things will be there as well. And what should work in the CoCo 1, 2, and 3 because it's in basic, as long as it's not tokenized or you get the source code untokenized, you should be able to run on the Dragon as well and some of the other clones. Next up after that, Kieren Hawken, and it's spelled differently than Karen Anscombe, is doing a series of videos on his channel on YouTube, but looking for the best games for each system. And he's done quite a few of these in the past here, but now he's actually for recommendations for Dragon 32 games. The people in the CoCoNation, of course, a lot of the games from the CoCo also got ported to the Dragon. Sometimes they change the screen mode, to get, color and stuff instead of a whole bunch of fuzzy looking purplish, white and black lines. But basically, he's asking anybody who wants to comment on this post, and you have to be a member of the Dragon group on Facebook. That's free. And he basically wants your top 5 and then why you chose them. And there's already been some responses there coming in. I'm not sure when they're going to be recording, but feel free to put your own in there too. A few people have actually put in explanations as to why they picked them. Most others are just listing the list of what games they have. I would try to recommend why you think it's good. Like, is it because the CoCo port of something was really good compared to some of the other ones, like say a Donkey King? Is it a totally original Dragon or CoCo game that wasn't on any other system? Like maybe that's the reason you liked it. Like Grabber would be for me, though eventually I did make it to the C64, but their version sucked. Stuff like that. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what some of the CoCo people say and how much difference there'll be between the Dragon people and the CoCo people as to what their favorite games were. So I highly recommend go join the Dragon group on Facebook if you haven't already, and then submitting your vote and your suggestions in there. And what is this? I have no idea. I think my notes got scrambled. Oh well, that's a figure out later thing. Jim Gary had announced earlier that he was porting a game called The World of Emon from 1980 to the MC10. And then I think just yesterday, he actually posted a video of the complete playthrough. It's basically a text adventure game. The screenshot you're seeing here on the video has a little bit of an intro screen, which actually has a little bit of graphics to it, but there's not graphics in the rest of the game. So it's basically a text adventure. And it looks pretty good. This is a game I've not played. It does look like it has some stats for your player in the background, like, you know, kind of the Dungeons and Dragons style. So it's not strictly a text adventure per se. It's got some background stuff that's more RPG based. But it looks to be a pretty good game. And the playthrough is like a good 15 minutes, like a quarter of an hour long. So it seems to be fairly complex.
Emon is a huge series on the Apple II where the company that did it designed a basic playing system, and then other people added modules to it. So it's a complete complete thing.
Okay. Oh, I see what happened here. I posted in the wrong section. Whoops. So Emon here, this one link, it's under the wrong section in the news if you've grabbed it off the Discord already, but basically it's the direct link for the sound file, like a WAV style file to load onto your MC10 if you want to play Emon. So it's misappropriated into the Kieren Hawken section under the Game On News. So my apologies on messing that up. I got to practice this more and start showing up again. Next up, we got James King, and this is not part of Septandy because he's actually playing on the Dragon 32 with taglines of Dragon 32 and retro gaming, but he decided to do multiple videos, gameplay videos on the Dragon with some classics, I would say. So Jet Set Willy, which is kind of a Manic Miner style thing, for those of you who have not seen it. But it's one of those, you know, pixel perfect, you know, you're going to die repeatedly type games that were so popular in the UK. And the other one that covered was the actual Manic Miner port. Now, the other videos he recorded in the vertical orientation, which for a computer game doesn't really make sense to me. That makes more sense for a phone, but it's still, you know, shows the gameplay. And Manic Miner is one that was on multitudes of systems. I think Jet Set Willy was too, if I remember, but it was like a Specky game and a C64 game, etc. And it basically plays similar. There's a whole bunch of different screens. He also played Pedro, which is one we've actually covered on the Game On Challenge not too long ago, I think. And this one actually has color. And one of my favorites, originally by Computerware in 1982 for the CoCo market, and then it came across on the Dragon, I think, within a couple months. And definitely a favorite of mine. And I think Buck Owens had actually found it is loosely based on an arcade game from the mid-70s or something, so which I had no idea of. And then my favorite version of Scramble on the CoCo, Whirlybird Run from Spectral Associates, also the winner of the $2,000 Prism Award, and the only one they ever gave out. Next up, this is an interesting one. So I think I've covered this guy. He was talking about doing a live stream. This is a Polish YouTube channel, and he does a lot of unboxings and gameplay videos. In this particular one here, he has a over 6-hour live stream. So he's like matching our biggest shows. The first hour is him doing some unboxing. He got an Acorn. What is the Acorn 16-bit system called? I can't remember. But basically, he goes through that a little bit and kind of explains what Archimedes. Okay. So he goes through that for the first hour. Then he does 5 hours plus of live streaming games on the Dragon, and he's definitely got a bit of a bias against the Dragon on some things. Though he tries to pick games that he. Out of the ones he's tried, he picks a few that he says actually are pretty good. He was playing with an actual CoCo Black Beauty joystick, which is probably his first mistake. I think the actual Dragon, even the free-floating ones, are a little bit easier to use than the Black Beauty just because of the way you could hold it in your hand, because it kind of has that grip on the bottom, etc. But yeah, some of the games he's playing definitely would have done a lot better with a self-centering joystick, which you could get back in the day for both Dragon and the CoCo, just not. I'm trying to remember, did Dragon Data themselves sell a self-centering joystick at any point, or was it all third-party stuff? I think Microdeal did, for example. But yeah, some of the games definitely would do better that way. So anyway, unless you speak Polish, I would recommend turning on the closed captioning feature of YouTube, and it should automatically pick sending it to English. And he goes through a few games. And the funny thing for me was actually watching through the games here. There's a couple games I don't think I've ever seen before, or at least not seen live running. I may have seen their title flipped by somewhere, but there's some CoCo classics like Cashman and Kevin's of Chaos. That one I have seen the Dragon from. Just gonna see if I can find one of them. Jet Set Willie, and that's that one we did recently. Cave Fighter on the Game On Challenge. Crazy Foota. I think I've seen that one before. It's kind of an escape style. The Dart Game I've seen. This one, Chicken Run. I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever played it. Do you recognize this one, Ken? Oh, Ken went to sleep already? Yeah, must have walked away.
We've
But
actually played this on the Game On Challenge.
Did we?
Yes.
Okay. I know we played some similar ones with the ladder up the side, like Cuthbert in the Mines, etc. But I don't
Yeah,
know
we
what
played
particular
Chicken Run. I think it was one of the ones that I chose,
one. Okay.
but I could be wrong.
There's Chucky Egg. Chopper Strike, which I think we played too. I'm not positive on that one. CD Bomber, which I think crashed on him. Or didn't. Oh, no, he played it. I was trying to run through this like kind of like piecemeal this morning here because it's like 6 hours of footage to go through. Clowns and Balloons patch for the Dragon with that palette. That's an interesting approach.
Wow, that hurts.
It's like getting your eyes gouged out with forks. Then it's some card game stuff. There's some basic stuff there. Convoy. This is not one I think I've ever seen before. I'll play a little bit.
Instructie.
That's for the actual gameplay here. So I'm guessing you must be the gun over here and you're trying to shoot this convoy of ships coming through the water or something? I'm not even sure. Not one I remember seeing before. And the Space Invaders from Spectral, Cop to Snatch, which I don't know if we played recently, but it's a semi-graphics 12 or 24 scramble style game. Cosmic Clones by Mark Data. That's actually one we've seen before. That one we've seen before. He was quite impressed with this one, which was Cosmic Crusader. I think that's what's called. Space F by Spectral. Crash by Tom Mix with alternate palette. Crazy Painter. Creepies. This is one for Halloween. I've never heard of this one, so. I don't know if anybody else has seen this one in particular.
No i najdłuższy.
Get some gameplay here.
O, tak. Powiedziane
Or is this one he couldn't get running? There's a few that he had kind of like hang or crash on him. And he's using a CoCo SDC actually on the Dragon.
So.
Yeah, I think, oh, there we go. It's kind of a Space Invaders type thing, though the aliens move in a more Galaxian style. Well, maybe not quite, but
he's getting a weird artifact.
Yeah, and he's actually using a real dragon, so this is not like fake. This is live coming through the composite.
Yeah, I've never seen that sort of combination of artifact.
Yeah, well, I was wondering, like, I don't know, what did Poland use as their default? Like, is it one of those, variations of PAL or maybe CCAM or something like that he might have had to adapt for? I don't know. Because it wasn't like Poland was kind of part of the Soviet Union at that time, wasn't it? Back in the early 80s?
That's right. Because, I mean, that yellow shouldn't be there. I mean, that should be white. But
Yeah.
anyway.
And there's this classic with a new color set.
No, that's sort of not too bad.
Yeah, this could have been better though. I mean, if James had picked James Garan had picked the right colors for each of the shapes there, he could have made this look very close to the arcade, even with stock 4-color mode.
Yeah, he could have.
This is one that somebody, if they had a lot of time, should go into that the Puyan program and just change the graphics to properly shift the colors to the right ones. And it would actually look pretty darn good.
Or run it on a CoCo 3.
Yeah, or you can just change it on your own. Crystal Chalice, couple keyboard clones you tried from a couple different vendors. Cuthbert and Golden Chalice. There's the one of the Pac-Man style games called Cyclops, which is a Semigraphics 24 game. Trapfall by Ken Kalish. Then Road Patrol, which for some reason he didn't like. He tried Lucifer's Kingdom. I don't think he really knew what he was doing on it. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them in there anyway. So there's a few games I've never seen before that might make interesting game on challenges in the future. If you guys are looking for some new blood that, almost none of us have seen before. Just like a warning, you can skip the first hour to get to the actual dragon stuff because the other stuff is unboxing of the Archimedes. But there's over 5 hours of gameplay footage and also getting frustrated with games that he just, kicks out of pretty quick. And the last one here, and this is why I was asking Ron about this in the pre-show, because there's another update from Spriteworks, and this is for the new MC10 game that he's working on. And he's been doing this whole launch with like fancy videos, basically, kind of playing roles of people that are in the MC10 community, including Ron. So Ron has privy to information here that he just won't tell us because I think he's been threatened by the aliens or something.
Agent Ron.
Yeah. So anyway, this is kind of a sequel to the one we showed last week, and he's been doing these little 1 to 2 minute video clips, kind of, acting, kind of setting up the scene. So one thing I really liked about this is the way he's kind of promoting this and doing all this type of stuff. It reminds me of Bruce Moore, is the only other person I know that's really done a lot of like prequel stuff and publishing different things to kind of get the story going. So when you get the game, when it's released, you have a whole background to it. It's almost like a TV show or something. So I'm going to play it in full here because it's only a minute long, and I'm hoping he won't mind. There's Deluxe, Ron Deluxe.
Yep. Look at that box sitting there.
That with the device. So, Ron, do you have any background here or anything you can tell us about that? The fact that he's sending something to you specifically, it sounds like?
If he tells us, he has to kill us.
Right. That is the only authorized information I can give you at this point. I had a communique. He said that, in the next 2 weeks, and this was like 4 days ago, that a box may be coming, and will you be there to accept it? And I, replied positively.
In other words,
You're having fun with this, aren't you, Ron? As to get a bit serious here, aside from the melodrama stuff that he's been adding in here, has he mentioned to you at all a release date he's planning on this?
All I got's what he's saying, and then you play these, and I get real interested because I don't know, I didn't see this come. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen this yet?
No. And the
As
last
far as we know.
Yeah, he's probably just lying because he's got to keep it secret. Is my guess. Yeah.
Well, guess all you want. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I like this. I was going to ask Nick, actually, as a professional game developer yourself, have you ever thought about doing something like this where you do a whole promotion campaign using videos or audio or something else besides just, demos of a game in action?
I have to learn how to act first.
Well, no, you just hire people. Of course, that cuts in your profits.
You can't stand there and stare out a window.
Well, then you need an apartment building so you can stare out the window from the 30th.
And if you need a rainy apartment building, just call Ken. He's in Vancouver. It rains all damn year there, so he'll be fine.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he'll help you if you need help.
I just remember when Bruce was doing the Doom series. He's working on the second one right now. Like Forced to Doom, he did a whole bunch of promotion. He was doing videos and stuff like that, kind of along this line here. That's the only other time I've really seen it done. Right. And I was curious if Nick had ever thought about doing that himself.
No.
Takes too much time and effort.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Well,
Uh-oh,
yeah.
I got a communique. Your package
That's
is
it.
currently being held hostage by Canada Post on strike. How do you like that?
Of course,
Canada Post is working with the aliens. That explains a lot.
Yeah, it's an
They win
intervention.
again.
They're also holding my paychecks hostage too. So
There's an
Oh,
intervention.
yummy. Yeah, that's good.
You know, the aliens are very crafty.
Yeah.
And
you
shifty.
might have to bypass it with a special UPS, which is I can't remember what it stands for. It's something about aliens. So
You never know
Yeah, but-
when you have a fan running if that is actual communication from them or what.
But you can't trust UPS with chocolate. You're going to trust them with your paychecks?
Oh, that's true. That's
Well,
true.
Better than Canada Post right now, apparently. So-
Yeah, at least they move it somewhere, just not to where it's supposed to
Might
go.
not be where it's supposed to go, but it
And a
goes
week
someplace.
late, but you know, at least it moved.
You know, Ultrix Command is monitoring our show.
Oh man, Ixnay on
I
the
don't know if you knew that.
No. Have I said too much, Ron? Am I in trouble?
Well, if you don't come on the show next week,
we know what happened.
There's a free truck in Canada. Just go pick it up.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's only about a 25 to 30% chance Curtis will show up on next week's show anyway. So
Anyway, I really like the way he's approaching the promotion for this game.
Yeah.
He did some pretty good promotion on the previous one too.
Yep, he's sharp.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate. Plus, he did all that professional packaging and stuff for it too, which is the first time I think I've seen that on an MC10 game at all.
Yep, ever.
Even Tandy's weren't that good, honestly.
And I think he also supported a mouse or a joystick for the.
Yeah, with one of the adapters.
Yeah.
I mean, Jim Gary supports joystick in some of his games. He's probably got a
Does
couple
he?
dozen at this point, yeah. For certain types of joystick. I mean, there's a couple different kinds too. There's one that kind of simulates key presses. And then there's the actual one that I think Brendan Donahue includes with one of his things where it actually gives you, real Atari joystick ports or something. Anyway, that's the Game On news. So basically just reviews and stuff. And like I said, I highly recommend, following the Spriteworks if you have an MC10. You definitely have a good looking game to look forward to. And also, if you get a chance, check out the Polish live stream of Dragon 32 games for 5.5 hours. Because they got some stuff in there that, you can actually read the comments and, he's not too happy with some of the games, or he thinks they're vastly inferior to some other platforms doing the same type of the game. But there's a few that he's impressed with. And he's also threw a few in there that I've never seen in action before. So that was kind of cool. Anyway, that's it for the game. So now I'll switch over to the regular news with the Dragon news coming up first.
Before we jump into that, I just wanted to mention that we have been testing Space Assault on XROAR, and it seems to not work on the disc or the cartridge version, but the cassette one does.
That's odd.
That's very odd. But on VCC, it seems to work fine.
Yeah, and I've played it in MAME before, so that's where I got my screenshots for. So, what would Space Assault be doing that's weird that XROAR wouldn't handle it?
Don't know. It locks up about 30 seconds into playing the game. So.
Also, it does actually launch and start playing it.
It launches and starts, and then it locks up.
Huh. Well, Karen's in the chat, so Karen, you'll have to check that out and see if you can figure out what's going on.
Right, it's like
Karen.
a bugagami. It hasn't come up before.
Karen, we've got a mission for you.
He said the cart's working for him.
Oh, is it? Okay, Sloopy said the cart locked up for him, so. But I tried the play now button in the archive and it locked up. So.
Okay, 60. Are you talking about on the local copy of XROAR, or are you talking about the online version on the archive? Because that might make a pretty big difference too, because I think they're different versions. Anyway, while he's composing his message there, I'll switch to the regular news. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting one here. This also appeared in the Dragon group on Facebook. And you'll see this picture, which has kind of got a TV with some wavy lines on it. And you got a double steering wheel style thing with some buttons on it and a dragon sitting there. And of course, the stuff is being written in Spanish, but I did take the time to translate it first. So it's part of a driver testing, like basically getting testing to, get your driver's license. It's kind of a simulator thing. The translated text from the image says, the first model of electric, and it said psychometric. I think that's a translation miss on Google Translate. But the first model of electronic psychometric testing developed by Fernando Ortiz in 1982 based on a Dragon computer and sharp color monitor. Image provided by Fernando himself. And his quote at the bottom there is, at first, I wanted to do it mechanically. Recalls Fernando, who admits that his first attempt failed. So I ended up developing a system, and that's where the Dragon part came in, because originally he was going to do it basically without the Dragon. So this was actually used for like driver ed, and actually having the Dragon kind of control. I'm assuming the wavy lines is to try, you should be steering at this, hard,
right, the road,
turning right or left.
Yeah.
So that's pretty darn cool.
To share one. You think in a time when no one did any kind of analog things, no one played video games, it's a kind of, the only time you ever had to steer was in a car or with this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a new skill. It seems obvious now, but it wouldn't have been at that time.
Now, this is something I hope there's still a prototype, or at least a version of that steering mechanical part of it in existence. It'd be cool to see it in real life, like how big is it?
I see what he was thinking, like the old driving simulators that they used in high school back in the day.
Yeah, I remember using that. Yeah.
But this turned out to be way cheaper when you had a Dragon.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to figure out what that wavy line is. Like, do you have to steer between those little bumps, or are you supposed to follow along, or I'm not sure?
I bet they crammed 2 kids on one Dragon, and you have to stay and not run off the road and learn fine control as they speed the thing up. And
yeah, and maybe you can't hit each other if it's doing 2 players at once, because that was the other.
You gotta stay on your road. The other guy doesn't matter. We're just saving money on hardware here.
Well, see, as a kid, at age of 15 or 16, I'd be steering off the road and trying to hit the other player. That's what
but not if you want to pass driver's ed and get your learner's permit.
You've got to practice street racing.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. How fast can you go?
This is for my demolition derby license. That's what it's for.
Let's run the simulator till it gets to 160.
I thought that was really cool. I'd never heard of this before now, that Spain actually used these officially to, help people take the driver's test. So that's really cool that the Dragon was directly involved. And of course, Eurohard eventually got the rights to the Dragon, actually manufactured and sold it for a while after Dragon Data and the one other company that tried running it in Wales kind of folded.
And the next question is how good are the drivers in Spain?
I've never been to Spain, so I have no idea.
Well,
as I'm sure Ken can attest, they can't be worse than Alberta drive. I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah.
That's a kind of joke between the prairie provinces here.
Maybe that's a Ford emulator.
Well, no, it probably actually works. Next up in Dragon news, we have Julian Brown posted an update showing freshly delivered 6847 FPGA interposer boards and remote configuration control boards. So we've kind of covered these a bit recently here. So he's basically duplicating VDG functions here, interposer simulator. So it basically emulates the VDG chip, the chip that the CoCo and Dragon both use. And then the top part is part of that thing where he's actually using, so you can change your boot things. So you can limit how much RAM it's going to boot up seeing type things. So you can test programs like, do they work on 32K or 64K or something like that, which he's talked about a fair bit recently here, but he's got the boards actually in to start testing. I don't think he's published results yet from actually trying it out yet, though you can see it's already at least partially populated, if not fully. And wait for some updates. I didn't catch if he's in the chat today or not, because he could probably answer that question pretty quick.
What exactly is that? What the hell is an
interposer? This is the special board for control, where you can actually do stuff like limit the amount of RAM, like I said, and do some other things. But basically, you can do hardware configurations that affect the next time you cold start the machine. So you can use it for testing with different memory footprints and other things. And then this one here is kind of the replacement for the VDG, I believe, that he's using on his newer Dragon, where he's basically making it all like at PC. You can upgrade different parts. You can upgrade the graphics separate than updating the serial port versus updating the whatever.
Okay.
Next up, Richard Harding, who's kind of the the history guy behind the Dragon. He's guy who's gotten delved in the history, found a lot of the old documents and stuff, scanned them in. He's got a whole website devoted to that kind of stuff. And as we've mentioned in previous shows, I think last week and the week before, they actually are the person that helps organize the Dragon meetup that normally is in the fall. Just can't do it because he's also the organizer for one of the other big retro shows, and they're too close together. So they've kind of decided on spring of next year. But Richard said, disappointed that there's no Dragon meetup this year. Want to see Dragon history. Like to meet like-minded Dragoneers. Well, I'd like to invite the Dragon 2025 Social on October the 25th. First meeting up at the Dragon Kenfig factory. So this is where Dragon originally started in manufacturing. That happens at 1:30 p.m. and then on to the Park Pub in Barrie from 3:30 till 10. We're hoping to have a Dragon at the pub for gaming fun to be announced, hopefully as soon as possible. At the moment, it's just a couple of blokes hanging around an industrial estate and down the pub, but I hope you'll come along and make it much, much more. So see you there. And then he's got some other details.
It looks like they're promoting underage drinking there, according to that poster.
Well, that could just be Bill Gates.
I know.
And he did get arrested for getting drunk while he was in New Mexico, so maybe.
And he looked about 12 at the time, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember, he got caught driving. What did they do? They stole, or not stole, but they borrowed land graders or something like that, or something.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Tom Eric Gunnison says terrible drivers in Spain, actually, so maybe we shouldn't have promoted the Dragon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that.
Well, you know.
Or it could be maybe that they only had them for like 6 months and then they went back to the old ones and that's why they're bad. I don't know. By the way, there's actually a Schultz event on Facebook. You can actually say if you're going or planning on going, etc. So you can join in so they kind of get an idea how many people will be there. And then here's the one to go to the actual pub afterwards. Next up, we mentioned last week, Rob CFG on the World of Dragon Archive forums was doing some updates to his disk utility tool for handling disk images for the Dragon. And one thing he's added on this recent update he just did is that you actually can tell it to disassemble source code, and it's 6809 and 609 aware. As you can see here, you can switch which processor you want it to disassemble for. And then you can take a look, view as hex, you can view as text, you can view as a basic code if it happens to be tokenized basic, a graphical image, or a disassembly. The disassembly is a new one here, so it's actually a little bit color coded for different things here, but you can actually disassemble stuff live on a disk image just by pointing to the right file, which is pretty darn cool.
Is that a looks like a Apple Mac utility? Looking at the window up there, it's a Mac.
Oh yeah,
that
the
particular one, yeah.
Windows.
I don't know if it's cross-platform. That's a good question. It's on GitHub anyway, if you want to go check it out. But I think he had an update on the next page too. Yeah, he's asking if people would like to get OS 9 images so you can disassemble live off an OS 9 image. I would definitely say yes. He also is doing some testing against having it disassemble boot sectors that's not part of a file, like if you type the DOS command. And then he did a test here, which actually was worked, and he used Kieren's Blockdown, his Tetris style game. And this was fun here because this is his disassembly live off the disk image from the boot sector. And then Kieren posted, here's the actual original source that he used, including comments. And you can see, you know, how they match up here. Like you can see Lodex number run Dragon, which is 262A, which you can see right at the top here. And then load A with A000 points to the ROM one in CoCo. So actually you can see it's actually doing a good job. Like it's interpreting it absolutely correctly. So anyway, I think the link for that is over here. So you can get version 1.0.6. And there's macOS ARM 64, macOS X, Intel 64-bit chips, and also a Windows port.
And
so you actually got
Windows,
to, yeah. I don't see a Linux version there, but I'm imagining that wouldn't be too hard. And you can get the source code if you want to try to compile it yourself. And I do like the fact you can check between 6809 and 609. So, you know, what are illegal opcodes in a 609 will actually become legit under a 609 or vice versa. Really helpful if you're trying to test a game or something you're writing that's going to run on both. And that's more about how VDK headers, because they got the more extended headers. It's kind of like the SDF or DMK style format, which is what I think the Dragon defaults to, is kind of the ones that actually has like sector headers and stuff like that. So you can see different size sectors and copy protection schemes and stuff, which a standard DSK image does not do, which is why some of the copy protected games that never got fully broken open are saved in DMK format for the emulators or SDF format for the CoCo STC. After that, Tony Jewell in the Dragon community posted also in the Dragon group. He says, "Hi all, I'm looking for some games to run on my Dragons for this year's Retro Computer Festival in Cambridge," which I will mention both now and then again when we're covering the upcoming shows. We've covered this show before. I'm after games that are really quick to learn and addictive. So far, I have Paul Shoemaker's Lava Hero and Ghost Rush, plus Darren Atkinson's MC10 Bouncy Ball for the MC10, which is based on Lee Patterson's version for the CoCo from way back. But I like a third game. Paul's Paku Paku's grade is very similar to Ghost Rush. Any suggestions? So he's looking for something that is extremely quick to teach somebody. You don't have to know a bunch of rules or a bunch of special things you have to hit and do it. So as simple as possible. Does anybody... Sorry, go ahead.
No one wants to read a manual, do they?
No, well, this is set up at a retro game show, which is going to have 100 different game consoles. So nobody's going to look at a manual at one of those shows. So you want to get something that's pick up and go type thing. And I know these were really successful at Boat Fest, or under its new name now, but precisely because they were so easy to pick up. And these particular cases here, like Paul's games, require a button. They don't even require the joystick to move. It's just button.
Right.
So that's about as simple as you can get. Now, I'm assuming you can get a little bit more complicated than that, but are there any games that you guys can think of on the CoCo Dragon that are super easy to pick up and not hard to play? If you have any suggestions, we can either do it live right now in case he's listening, or you just pop on the Dragon group and put your suggestions.
I'm told Bootroid is real easy.
No, you need to read a manual, at least the cover, and that's too much.
Right.
Yeah.
So Paku Paku is the one-line Pac-Man, right?
Oh, yeah, he made the new one. Yeah, Paku Paku. That's the one he's talking about. Okay. But it's similar. It's like a horizontal version of...
Yeah, that would have been my choice, but it's already gone.
The old Double Back by Tandy.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Was that officially sold for the Dragon? Does anybody know?
I don't know, but it should work on a Dragon.
Oh, sorry. Tommy Gunnarson's correcting me. The Kenfig one is the second Dragon Planet. The original one was in Swansea. I forgot about that. We made things says kids today learn how to drive in GTA 5, which explains why driving is horrible now.
Right.
Bob Emery suggesting the game Dang It. I think he did play the one on one of the Game on Challenges by his selection, but I can't remember what the game was like. Ken, do you remember?
Yes, I believe that's the one where you're dropping the colored blocks and you can't have two blocks of the same color side by side. It's like the block is going over the top of the screen and you have to drop it down and make towers with them.
Yeah, that was a type in from Hot Cocoa or something, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that might be good. But anyway, yeah, like I said, if you haven't joined the Dragon group on Facebook, you should, because they talk about a lot of stuff that affects the CoCo too. And this is one where I think you can make suggestions from both CoCo and Dragon. Some of the video games might qualify too. Next up, so we covered that a Tandy Assembly last week got released some of the videos of some of the tech talks they had, and one was Jim Brain, who went into a roughly an hour-long lecture on how the MMU and the CoCo 3's GIME works, how people have added on extra memory by enabling extra bits past that. This is a blog post on Retro Innovation's site that goes into the details of the MMU on the CoCo. It doesn't go into like how to expand it beyond or anything, but just explaining how it works, and also some quirks that make it seem that it was originally designed to handle 512K, but the way they're wired in some of the lines, the order they're in, is that they might have thought the 512K might not have come out. So they were wiring it in such a way that would work with 128K nice and easily with, without having to do extra wiring or anything else here. And then they bodged in the extra bits when they did discover it. So he's speculating that maybe the designers of the Gimme itself weren't sure if they're going to have enough room with everything else they were putting in there. And that's why they did it the way they did. And I'll leave you hardware guys to explain the RAS casts and why these look odd. And so this is what he would normally have expected, and this is what he actually got. So I don't know if you guys have actually read this article or not that are hardware experts, but if you can explain exactly what he's doing and talking about here, that'd be great, because I can't. But basically, you'll notice that the Z8 kind of like jumps way ahead. The other ones are kind of in order. And then those two are out. So the extra 2 bits, basically the memory above 512K to 1 meg and 2 meg. Or sorry, from 128K to 256 and 512K is what I should say. But he speculates that the reason it was done this way is it kind of like, as a backup, they had it. So if it had to be just 128K, it makes total sense. And the 512K isn't too hard to add on.
It was an afterthought.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Jim's kind of hard to keep up with, so I'm gonna have to read this and think a while.
Yeah. And I know some of the speculation on like the task register, I totally agree with. Like, I mean, we only have one task register bit, so task 0 and 1. But there's 4 bits right above that are reserved for future use, unused. And that would have been 32 tasks. OSINE level 2 just happens that the maximum number of processes you can run at a time is 32. So, oh yeah, Jim, if you want to join, please do. He's in the chat right now. Because you can probably explain this a lot better than I'm butchering it. This is hardware, after all.
Yeah. So depending on how large your dynamic RAMs are, you're either going to have 0 through 7 or 0 through 8, right? And so putting the highest address bits off to Z8 makes sense to me.
Because address bit 0 is basically which RAM set you're selecting, odd or even.
Now would
yeah, because these are 16-bit RAMs.
Yes, we're
No, they're 8 bits, but you had 2. Remember the RAMs were
4464s, right?
For the 128, yeah, but on the 512 there was, but they had it arranged as 2 8-bit banks of 128 apiece. No,
okay, so call them odd and even, and then all the odd addresses go to one, and all the even addresses go to the other based on A1. I mean A0.
Yeah. It was weird. That's what the signals. If you look at the schematics, you got the W0, W1.
So Jimmy, if you want to come in and just do a bit of explanation what you figured out here, the meeting ID and password has not changed from the last one I sent you back in November on the private Discord chat. So
yeah, he says we should double back to this once he wrangles his way in. So
okay,
sweet.
I will keep that tab open then.
After next discussion.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, after that, a follow-up from last week. So Keith Frechette has been working on a structured assembly language operators and stuff, SAL, which is basically writing code kind of more in a C or C++ style, but it'll actually convert directly to 609 or 609 instructions. And he went a bit further this week and actually put up some specific things that he was thinking of how he would actually get it worded to look more like C, but it would still translate directly to assembly language. And he was asking for some feedback on this, and he definitely got some feedback, some, kind of admiring what he's doing, others kind of going, why are you bothering? Some of these just would work fine just the way they are, that you don't have to memorize anything for that. But I think it's more to get it into a language that a lot more people know C or C++ these days than would know 609 assembly. So if you can get something that actually translates to a single instruction and just uses C syntax you're already pretty well used to, that could be a useful thing. I was wondering for the programmers here that program in C and assembly language, what would your thoughts be on this?
So when I've thought about going down paths like this, my motivation is so that I'm not assigning registers when I'm writing my assembly language. And then I want some optimizer to do that register assignment and choose how to add. You can add with add D, or you can add with LEAX. And there's lots of different ways to do that on the 6809, depending on which registers you decide to put things in.
Yeah.
And, GCC, when I use GCC and when it works, which for me is most of the time these days, that does very smart register assignment and global optimizations. But if I were to write some language that's halfway in between C and assembly language, I would be designing it so that I could have that global optimizations and register assignment and stuff happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. That'd be more like compiler behavior where you don't have to worry about what registers are using what.
Yeah, you just describe, R plus equals M or whatever.
It also should make it easier, like if you want a compiler switch to go to generate 6309 base code versus 679 base codes, because obviously you've got some extra adds and stuff that you can do there, like add with carry 16-bit, add carry D or W or something.
Yeah, that seems another good motivation. Anyway, I've never done more than like very trivial little sketches of something like this, but this could be interesting if it goes the way I want.
Okay. Well, maybe are you on Facebook on Henry at all, or?
I've not. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I just haven't engaged with the 6809 people on Facebook so much. But yeah, I'll look this up.
Yeah, because he's on a couple of the 6809 and 8-bit groups as well, where he's cross-posted this, and then I think he's on the main ones on the CoCo group, of course. So if you want to do some comments as a fellow developer, that might be useful.
Okay.
Next to that, we have Thomas Cherry Holmes, of course, the guy behind FujiNet. And he put up a tip on how to find out who's in a FujiNet game lobby from the web. So the FujiNet game lobby is basically where people can actually match up with other players and then play live simultaneous over FujiNet, even between different platforms. So you could have a CoCo guy playing against an Atari 8-bit guy playing against an Apple II guy in poker or something like that. So he gives a little bit of a tip here, just kind of a couple screenshots and how you can actually log into it and figure out like who's in there and what game and how do you join it kind of thing. So it's a little bit of a really small mini tutorial on it, but I have seen some people doing this and it looks like fun. And of course, that's one of the joys of FujiNet's cross-platform networking for 8-bit machines. He also flattened the directory. So we talked about this last week. He was actually wondering about some feedback on this. And because of the way he's got some filters and wildcards and stuff, the way it's got implemented, it works much better if you have a flat file system instead of a whole bunch of subdirectories like the SDC defaults to, where you might have games, but then you've got games that start with 0 to 9, games that start with A, games that start with B. That gets more complicated on the FujiNet side of things. So he made a new version of basically the big archive you can pull off of the SDC and flatten them all out. So it's much easier to filter and sort and do wildcards on. So he was actually asking people to go give it a try using some of the features that are in FujiNet for searching for stuff so you can find stuff faster. And want some feedback on what people think of that. So I can see some people have liked it already. I haven't seen any actual comments yet. So, and of course, Tandy Assemblies last week, they've already put up some of the videos up on the Tandy Assembly YouTube channel. But also people have been posting some photos and stuff. I've seen some in Discord. The reason I brought this one up in particular is that there's some CoCo content for sure, which is cool. But it's also by Randy Kindig, of course, runs the Floppy Days podcast and also did the Antic podcast for the Atari 8-bit machines. And he's been on our show, so I definitely want to give him a plug. And I don't know how many people in the panel here were at Tandy Assembly, if any, but I thought I'd go through some of the pictures here and see what you guys think.
I was.
Okay. So here's just general Tandy Assembly right off the start. You can see a bunch of the booths already set up in the background. And of course, Porta CoCo was there, and it has a bit of a rival now with that other, Joe Pappas, I believe, is doing the other ones where he's actually 3D printing out brand new cases for CoCo 1, 2s, and 3s to make them with LEDs attached to them with up to 14-inch screens and all kinds of stuff and making it a wireless. Whereas the Porta CoCo approach is to use off-the-shelf parts like batteries for hedge trimmers you can get from Home Depot or something and screens, and they're all designed in such a way that you can add them to an existing case without damaging the case. So it's something you can actually go out get and start going. The Joe Pappas one looks really cool because he's basically designing the the cases to be a self-contained, wireless, battery backed up, built-in screen CoCo, but he's only doing it as a private project for himself. I think he's planning on releasing the files and how to do it, but he's not selling it as a product. So there's a general shot of the show floor. Oh, and whoever's there, if you guys want to make comments, while I'm showing these pictures, maybe something really struck you cool about a particular booth or something, let me know.
There was quite a bit of CoCo content. Obviously, the Model 1, 3, 4, and Model 2 line had a pretty big showing. This stuff here, right here was a bunch of mostly Model 1, 3, 4 parts, pieces and parts, add-ons and whatnot.
Okay.
And that was, I'm trying to think where this was, but this was, you can see Brendan Donaghy's daughter right down there near the end. So that was where the CoCo VGA was being displayed. And then Eric Canales from Glenside was right next to him here, where the guy with the headset on, or the headphones on, they had just a bunch of different machines. You see a Model 100 there, and he actually had an Alice sitting next to it for part of the weekend. The red kind of MC10 like a unit, and then you see a Model 4P there, whatnot. They were doing a lot of work
and it's
on that
handy
Model
vision by
100.
the looks at it too there, because I can see this on television screen, but I can see the wood grain.
Yes,
handy vision by the Model 4P.
Yeah, they were playing games on it partway through the weekend. You're right. So it was working. Yeah.
Did Brendan have any updates on CoCo VGA? I know he kind of had to stop production because the part that he's using is obsoleted or something, or end of
It
life.
sounds. I mean, it's slow going, but he didn't have any announcements at the show. But I get the impression that they're close to having a replacement, even since he had to, kind of do some changes. And of course, he was using Ed Snyder to build the devices, and Ed's been unavailable for a while. So so he's got a part issue, and then he's also got a manufacturing issue, but I think he's close to solving both of those. At the show, he was focused on I think he has a SID cartridge for the CoCo. And so
him
that
and
was
Sheldon
at the
McDonald
Glen
have been working on that.
Yep. So that was probably his bigger thing he was talking about at the show.
Okay. Richard Lobieski of Boys and Tech's also in the chat. He says, I just got here. I'm still sick, came home with cold and allergies. And he said Paul Fiscarelli was at the end too.
Yes. So I can't remember this guy's name. He and his wife there, they do like coasters, and you can see bags and
that's Tech Dungeon, I bet.
Yeah, okay, that's right. I didn't see his Bluetooth or whatever controller there, but maybe it was. It was somewhat hectic weekend.
Yeah. I've got one of his joysticks for the CoCo here, actually, myself. I picked up at CoCo Fest last
There,
year.
and there you can see the Alice right there. It was in the case. You can see it right off to the right. Yep. I mean, not very well, but it was nice. It had the cassette player in red. It was a full unit. I'm not sure whose it was. I just know it was sitting there on the table.
Yeah. And if I remember, the Alice had the really nice packaging. We actually had like foam cutouts there to keep
Oh
it.
Yeah. It was classy machine. I mean, I don't want to diss all the folks that love the MC10, but it was it was really classy presentation. The machine was a little bit, maybe a little bit lacking.
Yeah. Well, they made the later ones too, because they made like the Alice 90 and stuff where they, swapped
That's
out
true.
entirely different stuff. So they kept it going.
That was the Phoenix Computer, Boise, and John. They were working on the drivers for the keyboard was what they were working on partway through the weekend. And then John and I were working a little bit, because I gave him one of my CoCo Mem Juniors, and he's going to be trying to bring up OS 9 level 2 on it. So we were working through that through the weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Let's see. That was part of my exhibit, and then next to it was this. It was like the table on the end was like a historical exhibit, and so we had the Radio Shack pegboard on the back there, and then a whole bunch of different stuff relative to the Radio Shack, and then you can see probably an interesting piece was that manual calculator with the 3 dials over on the right hand side of the
Oh, the
table.
big analog computer thing, eh?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So they had a little video playing of, I think it was some in-store advertising stuff they had playing on the computer there.
Now I'm looking at the name, and I'm trying to read it. It says the Dayton.
Oh, that's right. It's the
Microcomputer
Dayton.
Association?
Yes, the Dayton Computer Club. Yes. Microcomputer Association, the Dayton Microcomputer Association. That's right.
So is
And
that
it was
CoCo
all-
2 part of their display too then? Or?
Yeah. All of that was part of their display. It was kind of a Radio Shack inclusive display. Obviously didn't have a ton of machines. They didn't have a lot of room. But the problem this year was, I mean, there's a lot of exhibitors and there wasn't a ton of table space. So everybody was kind of a little crammed into the tables.
Yeah, because I mean, Peter Satinsky had mentioned like they sold out all the vendor tables like back in May or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Are they looking at getting to a bigger venue now? Or
I mean, they didn't. They held it kind of close to the vest. I mean, there's been a lot of conversations about, is Springfield the best place? I know some folks are traveling in via air, and Springfield's a little bit difficult to get to. Ian Maverick, for instance, comes from Australia. He's I think he's one of the founders and board members and whatnot. So, there's. Would it be better to have a larger location be in a larger city as opposed to Springfield, Cincinnati or Columbus or Dayton or whatever. So I didn't hear any definite plans. I know Randy Weaver had talked about it with us a little bit at the CoCo Fest. And there's Cloud9. So, I mean, I do think, I could have used 2 tables. I think Cloud9 I think he had 2 tables, but wanted 3. So I think everybody would have preferred to have a little bit more space. But I don't know. I'm trying to think that particular hotel, I don't think they have a bigger space unless you get rid of the speaking, the presentation part, right? If you extend the room all the way to where the presentations are. But I know, unlike CoCo Fest, Tandy Assembly really likes to have the presentations in the same room as the exhibits. So it's kind of 6 one, half dozen the other. Some people love it, some people don't, but they really like that. And so I don't think they're going to want to get rid of that. So the only way they're going to be able to get more space is to probably move to a different venue. And I'm not sure there's a lot of big venues that would hold a bigger room than this in Springfield. So it may force their hand.
Yeah. I do know the people that were flying in internationally because there's no international airport in Springfield. They'd have to take a cab or arrange a ride to get there.
That's right. Yeah. Ian's mentioned, he has to rent a car, and I think he flies into, Columbus or something, and then it's like an hour or something, but I don't know. I mean, Springfield's not Chicago, right? So, so I think it may seek a better place next year. Not sure, but they definitely could stand to have a larger space than they're using right now.
Yeah, if they're running out of tables for vendors already, by the sounds of it, that's definitely a sign they should be.
I mean, to be fair, they might be able to do one more year. That if you look at one of the bigger shots, they didn't have much in the middle of the table. So if they wanted to move some of that stuff to another room, like the registration and whatnot, they might be able to put maybe another 10 tables or something. It's not a huge amount of ad, but maybe they could, do a little bit better job on using the space they have. That was Jeff Burt, and he's got all his like the Pocket PCs, the Model 100, and so forth. I forget what that one was on the right hand side there. I think it was a homegrown Model 1, but I'm not sure.
Or an LNW80 or something like that, maybe.
It might, it might have been. I was given a presentation, and so I was kind of preoccupied on Saturday, and there was a lot of chaos on Saturday morning. So some of these I didn't get a good look at.
Yeah, was he the guy that did the MIDI thing on the Model 3 or 4 too? Or is that somebody else?
No, that's I'll have to go back to the presentations and see. But no, Jeff was one. His big thing is the like pocket computer. So he did a presentation last year about, well, he did a presentation this year as well about putting systems together, like how to manufacture for the hobbyist market. So he did have a presentation on, I think, the Tech Track on Friday for that. Last year he did a thing about building peripherals and whatnot for the pocket computers. I think he talked about the different styles of pocket computers, which ones were, because they were all rebadged. They were either Casio or I can't remember, but anyway, he was talking about the different ones and which ones were compatible. So you see that's, you know, there's Neil and there's Malcolm, and I forget the other guy there. It's they're twins. It's either Chris Auger or his brother. They do a lot of Apple stuff, but they were all sitting there watching the presentation. And this was the inside set of tables, and then there was a outside set of tables. So it's kind of like two concentric rings. There was Randy. Yep. So that was the front. So you can see in the middle, there was a lot of extra room that they could have potentially
right here.
So, and they could have moved that table, the Tandy assembly, you know, registration table, and the table behind, which has got all the T-shirts and whatnot. They could maybe move that to another room to have all the exhibits in one room if they wanted.
Do they have a fairly big hallway just outside the main room, like we do at CoCo Fest, where you could have the tables?
No, not that big. It is big for, you know, hotels, but it's not nearly as big as you wouldn't be able to put a lot of tables there. They did do a registration table in the hallway one year, and that's I suppose okay, but you have to put it really close to the wall, or else it's too far out and impedes traffic.
Okay. I think that was the first picture we looked at too, so we're kind of wrapped it back to the beginning here. So let's go back to your presentation here. Basically, what were you figuring out here, and what did you?
Yeah, I love you. You're just a software guy. I don't know. It's hardware, man. I don't have any idea what. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is the overall goal was to try to figure out how the MMU works at hardware level, so that I could make sure that CoCo Mem Junior, which has an MMU and he puts on the CoCo 1 and 2, is as, I guess, compatible as possible to what the CoCo 3 does, so it'd make it as easy as possible for us to bring up level 2 OS 9 on it. And so one of the things that was kind of odd to me when I was looking at the code is I would assume that when the CoCo 3 was put together, the original, like when you have it in CoCo 1 and 2 mode, I was assuming that the original RAM for CoCo 1 and 2 mode would be sitting at the bottom of the 128 or 512K of RAM, but it doesn't. It actually the CoCo 1 and 2 RAM is actually up at the top, so it's 3F or 3.8 to 3F is where that memory is. And so to figure that out, because from a software point of view, you don't know one way or the other. You just know what you put in the registers and whatnot. So I probed out the actual pins on the CoCo the CoCo 3 memory expansion slot, and I had actually found this information out way back when, like in 2016, when I was working on CoCo Mem, which was the board for the CoCo 3 that I didn't end up going forward with because Ed and all those were going to do memory expansions for their GIME replacements. But I noticed that the top bit, so normally when you have a CoCo 1 and 2, and you have the SAM and you have the VDG, and for a 64K of RAM, the cheapest way to do that back in the day was to do dynamic RAM. And dynamic RAM, in order to make the chip as cheap as possible, they wanted to put it in a smaller package. It's like SRAM, static RAMs, had all the address lines brought to the chip, right? Like an EEPROM or whatever. That's how that worked. But for DRAMs, they wanted the package to be smaller because it could be cheaper, and that was the game, right? DRAM, you needed DRAM to be as cheap as possible because people were trying to put a ton of it into computers in the early 80s. So to do that, they multiplexed the address lines. So on a 64K chip, you have 16 address lines, but if you multiplex them, you can get by with doing 8 multiplexed address lines. So most CoCo 1s, or actually all CoCo 1s and 2s, have Z0 through Z7. They don't call them address 0 to address 7 because they're not a full address. They're a multiplexed address. And then this line, there's like two strobe lines. There's 2 lines that say, okay, the data that's on Z0 to Z7 is correct. Go ahead and capture it. And so that's what you say, the row address strobe or the column address strobe. And when they did the CoCo 3, they added one more line. They added Z8. And so that gives you that gives you 9 bits times 2 or 18 bits of space. And then in addition to that, you have the fact that I think somebody mentioned before I got on Zoom, you have 16 bits of data. Even though the GIME and the CPU are both 8 bits, there's this kind of unique I don't know, kind of a
Odd even
2 to
setup in
1.
RAM?
Yeah, it's an odd even thing. So the lowest bit of data is not used to select. It's not used as an address to the RAM. It's used as a selector for which bank of RAM you want to get your data from. So each bank of RAM is in the base. So CoCo 3 is 64K, and there's 2 banks of them, so you have 128K. And the lowest bit is used to select whether you're looking for odd memory or even memory. So that means you have essentially, you have 19 bits of data, which is 512K of RAM. So that's the Z0 through Z8, and you can see that, it's on the third line there, which is what actually is shown on there. During the first part of the cycle, the computer, the GIME puts out address lines 1 through 8 on Z0 through Z7, but then it jumps all the way ahead, like you mentioned, Curtis, to A17, and then on the second part of the cycle, CAS, it puts A9 to A16, and then it jumps up to A18. I just thought that was kind of weird back in the day, but I didn't spend that much time on it. And then when I was coming back to it for CoCoMIM Jr., I thought, why are they doing that, right? And as you indicated, I thought it was some cool thing that they were doing, like, maybe they couldn't fit it all in the ASIC, because the GIME is an application-specific integrated circuit. So maybe they were like, I don't know if we can do 512, we'll try. But to guard itself, then not have to rearrange all the address lines, we'll put these 2 way up at the top. Or it started out as a 120K machine, which that's truly possible. That they started out and said, you know what, guys, let's build a 128K CoCo, and then later on in the design cycle, somebody's like, with just a little bit of work, we could probably make it 512. We got some extra stuff, we got some extra cells we can use. But right now we've laid all this other stuff out, so let's not change it. Let's just put these 2 address lines way up at the top. But I think the reason they did it primarily is simpler, which is they didn't want to. And I think I mentioned this in the presentation on during Tandy Assembly. The political powers, the powers that be at Tandy, and the political perspective was pretty big deal for the home computers. And at the time the CoCo 3 came out, if it would have come out standard with 512K, it would have put the salespeople in a really awkward position, because I think the Model 1, 3, and 4 didn't go to 512K by default. You had to put on non-Tandy add-on boards to get extra memory like that. And the Model 2, 12, 16, the big 8-inch disk drive machines, you could put up to a mega RAM on there, but those machines were thousands and thousands of dollars. Meanwhile, the CoCo 3 came out, even with a 512K RAM on board, would probably been maybe $250, $300. So it would have been like an order of magnitude cheaper than the business computers.
They were
so
even their Tandy 1000 line, that would have been competitive with that.
Yeah, and the Tandy 1000, which could probably go to 640, but not. But it was also probably $1,000, $1,500, whatever. So,
well, they were too afraid that the CoCo 3 was going to compete with the 1000.
That's right.
Exactly. This is like GM. Nothing can be faster than the Corvette.
That's right. That's right. So I think, I think they did this because they probably, the thought is, okay, well, we're gonna offer 512K, but we can't offer that as a base unit, because if Jane and Joe, potential computer buyer, walk into a Radio Shack and they're like, oh, we need a computer, and you remember at the time it was all about how much memory you had and how fast the CPU was, right? That was the 2 things that people talked about. And so if you came in and you saw this CoCo in the front or even at the back, and it was like 512K, $250 or $300 or whatever, or you could buy a Tandy 1000 for $1,500, or you could buy a Model 12 or whatever for $5,000. Joe and Jane, prospective computer buyer, are not going to pick a Model 12 or a Tandy 1000. They're going to pick a CoCo. So I think that was, you stay in your lane, Mr. Home Computer. But then, of course, there was the 512K expansion available after the fact. But I think that was.
Yeah, but those never had a proper stock number. Those were all AXX stock numbers.
Yeah,
they were like secret.
Yeah, and I commented in the presentation. It's interesting. That's part of what's interesting about some of this archaeological stuff is, the official title for the GIME was not the GIME. It was like the Advanced Color Video Chip. Like, well, we need better colors for our video. Well,
Yeah,
that's like
and 40 and 80 columns and stuff like that, higher
yeah,
res.
yeah. So all that stuff that might have positioned it as a competitor to a business computer was conveniently left out. And I have a feeling that was the engineering folks saying, listen, we want to do this. We want to work with Microware. We're already working with them to get the basic up and running. And they're like, hey, if you had an MMU and a task register, whatnot, we could bring level 2 to the CoCo. And they're like, okay, but let's not say it too loud because the powers that be
Right.
will shut us down.
People will be installing gimmick software on their CoCo and
Yeah. So anyway, so I mentioned that, and then and I mentioned that if you had reordered them the way I thought that they should be reordered, when it came out of the box with 128K, it would have big issues. So
They did list
so
it in
having
the
them up the
catalog.
top, huh?
They did list the RAM in the catalog, but since it could only be installed by Radio Shack and not an end user, it was never given a catalog
couldn't
number.
buy it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they never
Yep.
sold a stock 512K machine ever the entire life of the CoCo.
No, they never. Yeah. So anyway, it was kind of cool to see, how they. I feel like still that, while there's a possibility the GIME was designed originally as 128K and then they added it on later, it's entirely possible that they knew they wanted a 512K machine from the get-go, but they couldn't shout it from the rooftops. They had to kind of hide it through the whole process,
Sneak it in
until it got towards the end, and then of course when it was already out, and then I have a feeling that they could say, well, it'll upgrade to 512K, and of course Radio Shack's not gonna, if you've already done all the tooling and all the non-recurring engineering costs of putting the computer together, and then they say, oh, by the way, we could sell some more stuff for it, they're probably not gonna, they're not gonna leave money on the table. So yeah, we'll offer a 512K upgrade if you send it to the upgrade center or whatever it is. Yeah.
Jim, you never had a chance to talk to some of the GIME designers and stuff at Tandy, like John Prickett or some people that were involved with the CoCo 3, et cetera, to see if that was their kind of viewpoint of it too? Is it the suits that made the decision? Or?
Yeah, I haven't. I should. I'm just kind of looking at this from the outside in. Like I said, the goal originally wasn't to figure out the GIME per se. It was just to make sure that replacing the or re-implementing the MMU in CoCo Junior was done as compatible, most compatible way possible. And
so the least amount of rewriting drivers.
That's right. The least amount of rewriting of drivers. Just like, for instance, the VDG and the GIME. Tim Lindner and I were working on it, and we noticed that, like the 64K memory that the VDG emulation in the GIME, where is that 64K in the memory map, right? Is it at the bottom of memory? Is it the top of memory? It turns out it's at the top. It turns out it's at 3.8 to 3F banks, and I didn't know that when I developed the CoCo Mem Junior originally. I thought, well, the original RAM should sit at the bottom of the memory spot, and then when we tried to do some OS9 development, it just failed miserably, and I was like, I don't understand. And so that's why it's taken me so long to pick up the project again, because I'm like, I don't know enough about the MMU. So okay, let's figure out how the MMU works, like at a detailed level and the memory and so forth, and then this sort of stuff just comes out in the wash.
So with the original memory ending at 3F, that's another indication they were thinking about 512K in the beginning, right?
It is, although having the memory, like they left the bits, or they left the upper two address bits, the up true bits in every MMU mapping was, they didn't implement because they didn't have room for it. And you're right, the bits they had, supported the entire 512K, but the bits are there, and so that's 2 meg. I thought, as Curtis mentioned, I thought it was really interesting that on the task register there's 1 bit that's implemented, but then they leave the four next highest bits. They could have used them for anything, but they didn't. They left them unimplemented, and if you add those bits to the original one, you end up with a task register that could hold up to the number 31 or 32 tasks, which just so happens to be the number of tasks available in OS9. So it's possible they started, they were like, well, we can't implement 32 tasks, because that would be 32 mappings, and each mapping takes, 6 bits of data times 8, so it takes 48 bits of data, or
8 times 8 in that case too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So that's way too much to put in an ASIC, because ASICs didn't typically have RAM; they just had registers, and so that would eat up too much of the ASIC. It would cost too much, and I know they had a really low price point they had to hit. But if we leave those bits unused, then maybe somebody will come along behind us, which turns out to be somebody like Disto or whatever. Maybe they'll come along behind us and implement, all the rest of the bits for the task register. It didn't end up that Disto implemented those extra bits, because OS9 had already figured out a way to soft do 32 tasks while only having 2, but you could still do it in the future and maybe make changes to OS9 to support it.
Yeah, because they might have designed it in such a way that they could expand it from a software compatibility, because you have those extra bits you wouldn't enable unless a new version of the game that came out 2 years later or something like that, plus the 8 bits for the actual memory.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. It was a replaceable chip, so later on, if they're like, hey, listen, because there wouldn't need to be any more pins, they wouldn't have to change the footprint of the chip, but you could offer a, Gimme Plus or whatever, and direct from Radio Shack, and it has 32 tasks, and it has 8 bits of data or whatever. But
which the Gimme Z and the
$100.
Gimme X actually
Z.
do offer the 8 bits, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah,
that's right. So it's I mean, maybe they were like, well, who knows if Tandy will let us do that, but let's give ourselves some headroom to do it, and then of course they just never got back to it.
Cool. Well, it's really interesting to hear some of the. I guess it's somewhat speculation until we talk to some of the engineers that actually worked with. Who was the guy that did the company that did the Gimme chip? Was it B? Can't remember the name of the company now. BLSI.
Yes.
Yes.
Very large scale integration circuits.
And supposedly that was one of the very first big scale chips they did for anybody. So
really?
They might have been learning along too. So.
Yep.
Anyway, I know I watched most of your talk, though I was a bit in the background at certain times, so I probably missed a few things. But I like the fact you actually did a blog post on it too. Is a bit more easier to read at my leisure.
I got it right under the wire and for Septandy, because I was like, it was 11:57 here, and I'm like posting it, so I'm like, I'm gonna hit Septandy if it kills me.
Okay, we went through those already. Next up, Jason Warrens, who's been at CoCo Fest and also lives here in Canada in Calgary. And Ken and I have met with him a few times going to Boat Fest, etc. And he's also one of the guys that works at Retro Rewind. So they had a retro get-together in Calgary, Alberta here this last week. And he brought his CoCo 3 system, which is one I donated to him for helping development the CoCo SDC and testing, and also just learning how the computer works, because he's also a hardware repair guy. So if you need a repair in Canada, you can send your machine up to Retro Rewind, and Jason might be the person working on it. But he was just kind of showing it off here. It was just a little retro get-together, kind of a user group style meeting. And this is his picture of his setup here, and you can see he's playing Goop Rush. And I'll just read the text he gave. This was actually given on the CoCo Discourse. He said, there was a little retro get this past Sunday, and I was happy to bring a CoCo 3 to the show, folks. Besides everyone marveling at what good shape the CoCo was in, they were pretty impressed with some of the games. Here I had Goop Rush running. A fun, approachable, one more time kind of game to get people interested. Other systems at the event were Amigas, Macs, a couple of Osborne Luggables, one which the Rifa cap failed after about an hour or so, and a re-engineered homebrew SG-1000 gaming console. It was a fun time, and it was held at the makerspace in Calgary called Protospace. Now, there's some other CoCo people besides Jason that live in Calgary, too. One prominent one is William Astle, creator of LW Tools, the patches for Dungeons of Daggerwrath to allow macros and saving to disk, etc. So they're talking about the next time this happens here, Jason's going to try to give a lot more warning. We're going to see if we can get some of the other CoCo people to attend the show too, and maybe give a bigger CoCo presence at it. After that, we have Glen Hewlett posted some updates that he's done and is currently working on for his BASIC to 6809 compiler. And that's got a separate channel in Discord. This is the fastest BASIC compiler for doing CoCo stuff you can get. There are some other ones as well that are very good for speed, but a little bit less speed than this, but they're also cross-platform, like Micro Games Basic, for example, EG Basic. So we mentioned some of the stuff he's been working on here. He's been coming up with some more advanced math stuff than regular BASIC even has. So he's actually adding functionality that BASIC itself didn't have. So here he says he's finally finished writing advanced 64-bit floating point math functions. You can use numbers with better precision than the built-in ones that the Microsoft has. And he's also implementing some other stuff too, but you can kind of see a little bit of a list here on the screen. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the screen here on the stream here, but if you want, you can just go check out the Discord channel to fully read it. But he's got stuff like square roots and evaluating an even degree polynomial using Horner's method, and I don't even know what that is. But he's got all these different things in there, and he says, I still need to optimize the code, but the hard part is over. I also need to make 32-bit floating point versions of these routines. But that shouldn't be too much trouble, as the code logic would be the same, just to handle 32-bit floats instead of 64-bit floats. So far, the size for adding all this functionality in here is 2,904 bytes. Optimized, it will probably increase the size, but I figure it will still be around 3K. So that's pretty decent for having 32 and 64-bit floating point instructions added in for BASIC, that you can actually do like more precise geometry and all kinds of things. So looking forward to see where he's going with that. And he's been hand tweaking this thing a lot, so it's quite fast. Next up, the next Retro Challenge has been announced, and this is actually Retro Challenge 2025/10, so October of 2025. It's now underway. It has now got new people kind of running it, and that's the Australian Computer Museum Society, also known as ACMS. The rules are posted, and there are prizes. Now, the way they've worded the prizes, and this is basically just more the announcement for the next run here. But if I go over to their special channel here for the Australian Computer Museum Society, they mention here that they are having prizes to be won for the people that write the programs that get entered in the contest. But it's kind of worded in such a way, I don't know if it means you have to be living in Australia to get them, or if they're willing to ship it overseas. And if they do it by hitting Canada Post, it'll never get here because they're on strike. But I just thought, I don't know, Nick, are you familiar with this at all? You're the only Australian on the panel here.
No, I don't follow it. No.
Okay. Anyway, the rules for it, and you've got to, I think, until the end of October or pretty close to it to enter. And they already have some entries already in there, kind of mentioned at different parts of the site, so if you want to check those out. Next up, we got a twofer from Wayne Campbell, who was in the chat earlier. He's kind of the guy that knows Basic 9, I think, in quite a few ways better than I do. But basically, he's the one who's been writing the decompiler. So once you write a Basic 9 program and you pack it, it'll crunch the program down, it'll speed it up, but it strips out comments, variable names, line numbers, all kinds of stuff. So he's been writing in two different versions over the last 25 years. He's been writing decompilers to kind of give you back source code. So if you pack something and then you lost a source because the disk went bad or whatever, you can actually try to get it back. And he's been doing a lot of deep dives lately on both video and on his blog stuff of how the internals of Basic 9 work. So this first part here is where he's kind of going through how line numbers work. Line numbers basically are a lookup of an integer, what the line number is, and then it kind of points to where that chunk of the code starts. So if you insert lines, it'll just shift the pointers around, doesn't have to move all the code physically around. And then once you pack it, it kind of gets changed. And I think if I remember correctly, the terminology that MicroWare used was unbound and bound. So unbound means that something you can still change. Once it's packed, it's bound. So basically it's locked into where it's going to be going. And he goes into deep detail here of, looking through the module header itself. These are the bytes that you'd see at the very beginning of a packed Basic 9 file. And then you get a list of like where the line number stuff are. And then unpacked versus packed, he kind of goes into that detail too, nice and color coded. So it's a nice deep dive into that. And then he went into an even deeper dive on user-defined data types. Complex data types is the other way MicroWare described. This is kind of where you define your own variable types, which are basically other variable types mixed together into complex structures. So it's almost doing like records, like the field command in disk basic, except you can do this with variables. It doesn't have to be a disk file. And I use this all the time in Basic 9 because it just makes the code so much more easily to read. He even goes into the point where he's actually doing like these levels, like you do the type command, which defines stuff, and then you dim it. And you can dim it as an array, you can dim it as a single thing, and you'll do like contact dot name, and it'll actually grab that first subfield. And you can actually nest these multiple layers deep. And I think at one point here and later in the video, he actually goes 5 levels deep. So he's 5 levels of nesting variables together. I've gone maybe to 3 in my own code, but he does a really good deep dive into this too. And he's actually asking for some help for some people to figure out certain things in the way the variables and stuff are handled that he still has marked as unknown. Like there's some bytes in the stream that he doesn't know what they mean. And this is something I probably should get back to myself because I was trying to figure this out myself within the Base9 source code I've been slowly commenting on. But Base9 is a pretty big, complicated program, and the only thing we have to really reference is we don't have commented source code because Microware decided to take that hard drive out and shoot it at some point in the past. There was one little defs file that at least defines some of the variable names they used for some of the direct page variables and stuff. So there's clues in there, but it's still not like nice and easy to figure out exactly what's going on. So I don't know if anybody from Microware besides James Jones is watching or listening to this, but I would love to get some background on that myself and maybe some tips and tricks as to how some of this stuff works without having to figure it all completely by hand. Next out of that, we got Retro Bright Meister. And he gets task failed successfully. How not to get composite video with Tiny Comp and a Tier City CoCo 2. Spoiler, he eventually does get it to work, but the problem he was having is that he was actually basing the schematic of what he was doing to put a composite adapter into a CoCo 2 based on a CoCo 1 adapter, and actually they're not compatible. You do have to do some changes because of the way the ARF cans, etc. work. So he does get it and eventually end up working, but if you want a nice tutorial on how to go the wrong way for a while and then how to figure out that it's a little different on this machine and then fix it up so it works fine. Next up, I think this was cross-posted in a few spots here, but Tandy Showcase, who was at Tandy Assembly, I believe, is mentioning some donations they got here recently, basically relating to club newsletters, etc. So they got a few things that they received here that they have pictures of, which I'll scroll down to show you in just a second. The first one is they got some CoCo Bug, which was from the CoCo users group in Bedford, Massachusetts back in the day. It was published sporadically, kind of like the ones in the local ones where I am. I still have to scan those and get them up too. He also got a new member tape from the United Color Computer Club in Florida. And he also got the hard copy version of CFDM, CoCo Friends Disc Magazine. Now, that was normally sold as a cassette or disc thing. I think usually disc. And Rick's Computer Enterprises ran that from Kentucky, which happens to be near where Rainbow was, not too far away. And I did know quite a few people that actually ordered that on disc, but they actually had a hard copy for those that wanted to actually read it, sitting down type thing. So here's an actual CoCo Bug. Let's see if I can zoom this up here a bit. So here's the summer 1984 issue of it. And CoCo Bug also had a bylaws on tape in Telewriter format, so you could load it up and take a look at that if you needed to. Here's a hard copy of CFDM, CoCo Friends Disc Magazine. This actually ran for quite a while. And they had art galleries that you'd get every week, and they'd have some games and some tutorials and some utilities, etc. So, and these are all available in the archive, the disc versions of these, but these are the actual printouts of the actual articles if you want to read it that way. And they had a new member tape from that United Color Computer Club in Florida, which I'm not sure what's exactly on there. There might be some actual sample programs and stuff they thought everybody, kind of just getting used to the CoCo the first time should have handy. Or maybe it's some special stuff about the club itself or a combination of both. I don't know. So it was cool he got those. Next after that, the first time I've seen a post in the MM1 group on Facebook for a while, but David Graham did a quick post where he mentions, looking at the schematics and video pinout specs from a broad view, it appears that we could add the ability to use EDID functions to a prospective MM1 CPU replacement board as long as it included I2C capabilities. This is a bunch of acronyms about hardware, I'm guessing. So if any of you guys can explain what exactly all of these mean, and then I might understand what they're talking about.
So there's on newer monitors, there's so I2C is IIC. I can't remember the expansion, but basically it's a protocol that uses a bidirectional data line and a clock line. And so for 2 lines, you can transmit data back and forth. And so most newer monitors have one of those little chips using some of the so at VGA, they use some of the VGA signals, and HDMI, it's kind of built into the protocol. And essentially the computer or whatever you've got the monitor connected to can call out and say, what kind of monitor are you? And how big of a resolution do you have, or can you support? What kind of bit field can you support? What kind of or what kind of refresh rate you can support and all that. So I think what he's saying is you could have that on this board, have that communication available on this board, and the EDID is the information that the monitor would return to you. So you could have your end of it query the monitor to say what kind of capabilities do you support, and then update like a driver to support those video capabilities.
Okay, because if I remember correctly, the MM1 basically had an RGB analog, the same as the CoCo, though it had a TMSC chip or whatever it was.
Yeah,
kind of paired with the 68070 was kind of a sister chip, which had.
So they're gonna use two of the pins like older VGA monitors had. They'd use, I forget which pins it are on that 15-pin connector, but two of the pins you can use for the querying of the monitor to see what kind of resolution it has.
Yeah, because the MM1, if I remember, it was 15.75 kilohertz only and 60 hertz, and it also had interlaced options for doing slightly high res with flicker. So it would be nice to use a higher res without the flicker if you have a monitor capable of displaying it, type thing.
There you go.
Cool. Next up, Brian Blake, who's also in the chat as part of Septandy. We've been covering some of his stuff. He's been using Jim's MIDI Maestro, which is a recreation of an older MIDI board. And I think he's also got your Symphony 12 clone, which is the Philharmonic 12. Is that right?
Correct. He's got both of them.
And he's been using that with Lyra. I still don't know how to pronounce this properly. Which is a music composition program for the CoCo 1, 2, and 3. And it was mouse-based, the first one to do that on the CoCo. And it supports up to 8 voices at once and does have MIDI drivers. And it had some other drivers for the Symphony 12, Philharmonic 12 at one point that seem to have gone missing. Like nobody seems to have that archived anywhere. So we're hoping it shows up eventually. Because it would be a nice use of the 12 voice, or at least up to 8 voice, because that's what Lyra supports. But he's been going through and doing videos we've covered the last couple of weeks here. Where he's actually learning how to use Lyra, and he actually transposed some stuff like Motley Crue's Home Sweet Home, and playing them both through the CoCo speaker to show you what the fidelity is there, and then running it through MIDI where you actually have like drum sounds and proper pianos and stuff like that. And goes over a bit of the history of Lyra and it's being sold by Speech Systems. There's a picture of Jim's board, though he made his own 3D printed case for this, which is cool.
Looks really nice.
And then going into how Lyra works here and how you define your voices, etc., and how do you set your MIDI channels, what the output instruments are going to be. He mentions that his Casio MIDI synth is not a full 16 voice synth standard. I think it uses 1 to 5 and channel 10 or something like that. So it's only got, half the voices it would normally would have, type thing, or even less. I think it's six voices at once. I explain, a bit of how Lyra works and how the user interface works, so you can kind of figure what you're looking at. And here's some of the options that they had for output. And there was a little add-on you bought to jam it out to a Symphony 12. And that's the one part we're missing. The MIDI play functionality is there, and the TV play is there, obviously. So hopefully somebody is going to get a chance to find that particular missing piece. I know Jim or Bill Noble got a Symphony 12 board we got from local here that was getting rid of his CoCo stuff. Ken got a lot of it too. But unfortunately, he did not do anything with MIDI or the Symphony 12 with Lyra, as far as we can tell. I don't think even Bill has copies of that particular driver. And I think it came out a little bit later too. So it was a separate product. But hopefully somebody has it.
The Lyra only played through MIDI. It didn't record from MIDI. Is that right?
Yeah, it was just a note entry. If you wanted the recording live through MIDI, you got the CoCo MIDI Pro, which came out a little bit later. And there's CoCo MIDI Pro 3, which was the CoCo 3 enhanced version. I will play the YouTube video because it's basically just the one we showed last week, and he made it part of his blog. But there's a lot of good information on how this works. And just information on Lyra if you've never used it before, like what some of its capabilities are.
Forgive me, Curtis. What did you say you guys are looking for?
The Symphony 12 driver for Lyra.
Okay.
If you have it, please upload it because a lot of people are looking for it. And Jim will finally have something to properly demo it then.
I will. That's always been a problem with that.
Yeah. Here's the stuff that I'd misplaced in the wrong tabs here. So it's just basically Jim announced he was working on the Emon port, and this is before he got it completed. And then as of yesterday, he finished it, and you can go download it. He's got it actually on the Internet Archive if you want to grab it from there. And you can also play it online on the Internet Archive too. But it's basically a text adventure game with a little bit of RPG stuff thrown in. And the next up, we got Love Radios on YouTube. Did a Tandy MC10 quick look demo. So this is an MC10 that he received from a coworker for free and just kind of threw it on. So he decided to kind of fire it up, and he eventually got stuff where he got the 16K RAM expansion pack, which takes the memory up to 20K. He also got an original copy of Tandy's micro games. These are all basic games, if I remember correctly. And there's like half a dozen or a dozen or something like that on there. And hooks it up, just through RF onto the TV. Now, it's a pretty crappy quality picture here. And he's contemplated doing the composite board, though he's not done it at this point. He also had to fix the tape recorder because he actually got a correct period piece version of the CCR 82, is that one? One of the buttons was broke, so he fixed that too. But it's a nice little demo of here. Now, unfortunately, the RF is pretty bad on his TV.
On the cassette recorder.
Part of that might be the camera recorder too. But it shows off like Pac-Man, which is one that requires a 20K RAM total there, but actually plays a pretty decent Pac-Man. I know Jason Reichert demos this set tests every year.
The recorder up.
And shows you that the MC10 actually did have some pretty decent capabilities. And of course, Jim Gary's like ported like 650 basic games to it. So,
and it's a pretty good likeness of Pac-Man for the most part.
But the RF is a bit bad here, as you can see. And that's what I have for the news this week. So I'll just segue straight into the upcoming shows, of which I do have one update. Let me switch over there. Actually, I might have a couple updates. Sure. Okay, first one here. Is Sloopy still in the call, or I think he had to leave, but he's actually a person that's local and has been to this. So VCF East is holding a swap meet on October the 18th in Wall, New Jersey. This is a fundraiser basically for the VCF East show. The specific location is actually in a parking lot. So there's a Google map link if you want to see exactly how to get to the parking lot, because from my understanding, there's not a building per se nearby. But this is basically where the VCF itself sometimes has hardware and stuff available for sale as a fundraiser for stuff from their own collection. And then if people can come in and, offer their own wares as well that they have. And I'm assuming the VCF gets a bit of a cut to help fund upcoming shows. And Sloopy probably knows a hell of a lot more about that than I do. Anyway, vendor setup will be at 7 a.m. And this is a one-day only. General admissions from 8 a.m. till 2 p.m. There's a $5 general admission per person fee. 12 and under is free. There is food on site with lunch trucks with limited menus, run by the Monmouth Fire Museum. So I'm assuming everything's flambe at that point. Rain or shine except for thunderstorms. So if it's just raining, they will still run it. If it turns out to be a thunderstorm or think it's a bit dangerous electronics, then they will postpone it. And there's the link if you want to get the Google Map specific location. Next up, this was thanks to Bob Emery, which I'm not sure if he's in the chat or not. But basically, this is the one we talked about last week. The Dallas-Fort Worth Retro Computing Show and Tell is happening on Saturday, October 18th, so exact same as the fundraiser for VCF East in Grand Prairie, Texas, at a bingo hall. And Bob's been to this several times. It's actually quite a large event, and it's all kinds of retro computers all over the place. And 150 to 200 attendees last year through the day. Single day, it's from noon till 4 p.m. They're expecting it probably to be bigger this year, so that's good. And of course, this is right near Tandy's original location in Dallas-Fort Worth area that Tandy Towers are at. So hopefully, you might even run into some old Radio Shack guys there if you're lucky. Next up after that is the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. This is October 17th and 19th at the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. Obviously, by the name, it's a very gaming-oriented event, and also you can tell by the sponsors. But this covers retro computers, retro game consoles, retro arcade, retro tabletop, little, the LED stuff like CoCo used to do for like Donkey Kong, stuff like that. So it's all gaming all the time. This is the one that Tim and AJ have actually attended and actually had an exhibit at a few years back. Now, from Mark Oberholzer, I think you mentioned this is actually a fairly expensive thing to actually be a vendor at.
Yeah. When I think Tim and AJ had their table a couple of years ago, it's like $125 for just a 6-foot table for the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's pretty stiff for such a small table.
How is the prices for actual attendance?
I don't know. I actually haven't attended. So
okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the door fee would be.
Okay, there's a schedule. Okay, kids between age 3 and 12 require a kids pass valid all weekend. And they just mentioned that they did have to increase prices. I haven't seen the actual price yet, though. Must be pretty high if they're not mentioning it on the page. It's supposed to talk
If you
about.
have to ask.
Not refundable.
Not refundable.
Okay, I'll be brave and click the link. What are they going to tell me? So $20, I guess, plus tax, service fee or whatever for a kid's pass. Friday only pass is $40.
$100.
55 for the Saturday pass, 40 more for this. Wow. 90 if you want the whole weekend.
No sales tax, but yeah, there's probably occupancy tax or something from the city of Portland.
Right.
Yeah,
They'll get
this
it up to 100. Yeah. Oh, plus service fee. Yeah.
This is basically downtown. Well, actually, downtown is on the west side of the river, so it's east side, but it's still mostly downtown. Anyway, boy,
You said
That's
it was
steep. I mean, I can just
distortion.
imagine what are tables going to cost if it just to attend it's $100 for the weekend.
I don't know. Like I said, a few years ago, they were 125. So
So you're saying this
Ouch.
is extortion?
Yeah,
Just
pretty
about.
much. Oh, Sloopy, did you hear us talking about your VCF East meet?
No, I wasn't here. I had to go to the store for something.
Okay. Because it's a swap, and I think there's a fee for having a table there, and basically they use it as a fundraiser for VCF East itself, and it's both their own stuff they sell, sometimes from their collection, plus whoever brings stuff in. For the other people, do they just collect the money off the table rental, or do they take a cut of the stuff you're selling?
Just a table rental.
Okay. That was one thing I was not clear on.
Yeah, it's like a just a swap meet.
Okay. Also, a couple updates from the chat before I get back on to the other upcoming events here. So, first of all, Brian Blake, of course, who was doing the Symphony 12, Philharmonic 12, and the Lyra and MIDI stuff. He says the Symphony 12 software works great with the Philharmonic. There's just no music out there that takes full advantage of the 12 channels. Only Musica, and those are 4 channels. Still sounds good, but he said to Nick's question, I think that the speech system's piano keyboard could be utilized for creating music into the Symphony 12 software. I don't have one, never seen one, so I can't really say how it works. I will say Bill Noble does have one, but I think he had to fix it or something last time I talked to him. And then Tim Linder is saying, as far as attending the Portland show here, he said totally worth it. And Tim, is it also totally worth it to be a vendor there? That's my next question, because I'm guessing it's probably gone up in price a fair bit too.
Totally depends on what you're vending, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're selling stuff, it might not be too bad. If you're just trying to show stuff off, it might be a bit rich. Next up, this is the other one I added in today. And this is the Retro Computer Festival. We covered this last few years here. So it's basically being held November 15th, 16th. This is just showing the 15th date and prices here. And it's a bit expensive too. This is being held in Cambridge in the UK. And this year, the theme is gaming. And there are some Dragon people planning on bringing in their Dragons here to actually do some gaming. Hopefully, they sneak a CoCo 3 in there, too. That'd be nice to show some of the capabilities they've got with some of the transcodes, et cetera. But basically, you can buy tickets. You can get, family ones where you can get a couple adults for quite a bit cheaper price than getting 2 individuals, et cetera. Concessions are offered, et cetera, too. So this is basically the same type of stuff we've shown at this show the last couple of years. I do know some of the Dragon people went last year and had a good time at it. We got some pictures and even some videos from that. So hopefully we'll get some of that again this year. Next after that is Retro SC. This is the retro event in Brazil that Erico, Luciano, and a few others are regulars at. There's a pretty large CoCo compatible contingent there because of all the CoCo clones they had in Brazil, like the Kodamax, the CP400, the CP402, and probably half a dozen more. I'm not remembering the names off the top of my head. This is one that they've been recommending that some of us come down for quite a while here. And it was attended by, I think, about 500 people last year. Like, it's a pretty big event. And if you guys want to do a holiday, because it's in November, and specifically November 15th, as you can see on the screen, it's exactly 41 days, 17 hours, 43 minutes, and 55 seconds before it happens. It's actually right on the edge of an island just off the main coast of Brazil. And it's also, because they're in South America, it's basically a tropical beach that you're within like walking distance of. So you might even be able to swing getting your significant other to attend this one because you can turn it into a holiday. I'm going to
So-
try that next year myself.
So basically, they're celebrating my birthday, but they're not going to have it anywhere I can go, so that they have a good time.
You can watch the live
That's
stream, maybe.
one way to look at it.
Next after that, January 24th, 25th. I don't know if Frederick's still in the chat. He was there earlier. I know he's not at home, so he couldn't join the show. But that's the first official VCF event in Canada, and it's in Montreal in January because, who doesn't love Canadian winters? And it's at the Royal Military College, which is just outside of Montreal proper. So pretty easy to get to, I think, even if there's a little bit of snow on the ground. And yeah, this is one I'm interested because John Kowalski, otherwise known as Sockmaster, who of course did the Donkey Kong transcode, the very first transcode ever done on the CoCo 3, did some of the best demos the CoCo 3's ever had, and is just an expert on the gimme and its timings and how it works, and has published the gimme list that I think Kieren has hosted on his site now, is planning on attending and may even, help exhibit. And there's a few other people they might be able to drag in there too, like Frederick's planning on going, obviously. But this is also where Tony DiStefano and his brother from CRC Computers also will reside, and I think CRC is still around. So maybe we can actually convince them to pop out, and then we can actually get some of the old school CoCo people out of the show as well. After that, of course, is the main event for the CoCo community, which is CoCo Fest, and Glenside Color Computer Club sponsored, and we've got their president, Jim Brain, here on the line. And that is happening April 24th and 25th, same venue as last year. And I think the discounts, if you want to book hotels and stuff, is already laid in. Pretty sure.
Yes, it is.
Cool. Have you guys decided what you guys are doing about food this year?
Oh, I suspect we'll do the same catered dinner. I don't know exactly what. Grant doesn't usually get on that until closer to the time. He's off. I think storm chasing's over right now, but we kind of lay low in the till January probably. So I guess look for put your suggestions and send them to CoCoFest@glensideccc.com. Tell them what you want.
So do we have the bingo card of potential fire locations elevator breakdowns?
We do.
Yet?
We need to do that, right? Yes. the pitfalls and pratfalls that will happen at the show. Last year was actually pretty quiet, if I remember correctly.
Well, no, we burned down the outside of the hotel a little bit. There was a bird's
did you?
nest that
Yeah, I
burst
thought
into
that was
flame.
Yeah, I thought that was 2
wasn't it?
years ago. That was the year before. I don't think that happened.
Yeah, because there was a rainstorm and then it lit on
I think
fire.
it was the year before. Yeah, the birds made a nest in that
some light fixture, or something like
light
that?
fixture on the north side of the building.
I
and
just
then
know
it
there
caught
were
on fire.
sirens. Yeah, it's important to have sirens at CoCo.
It is. Maybe we need to. Well, if we could get if we can get Brian to help us, we could get a whole bank of Philharmonic 12s and put them in an MPI and write some music or write some fire engine sound effects.
I think there was one in the manual too, from what I remember.
There you go. So we could do the whole multi-voice fire engine thing. Just for you, Rick.
That'll give me PTSD though, because I'll remember the one where we got trapped in the elevator and they actually come with axes.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You guys thought of a theme for the show?
I don't know if we're gonna do a theme. Grant's been a little bit disillusioned, quite honestly, because
No one buys in, right?
well, I mean, I don't want to be so negative about it. I think everybody's got they're focused on what they're going to bring to the show, and that may or may not fit the theme. They don't really think of the theme when they're putting together what they're going to do at the show, and I think that's fine.
I agree.
So I don't, I mean, it would be cool, but I don't know that there's, I know like Tandy Assembly will usually celebrate an anniversary of a particular, like this year was the 40th anniversary of the Tandy 6000. I think next year is the 40th anniversary of the CoCo 3, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So that may be
86 was launched.
That may be that may be what we use in lieu of a theme next year is the 40th anniversary. I think that'd be fine.
We haven't always had a theme. A couple of times we just had CoCo Fest with the
Right. The CoCo.
Yeah,
that's
the theme
thing.
is CoCo. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, I think now that I remember, I think we were waiting for the 40th anniversary of the CoCo 3 to show up so we could have that be incorporated in the show. So that's what we'll probably do next year. So I think it'll probably be, if I was to guess, I would say, plan for the show exhibits to be maybe CoCo 3 focused. That's probably going to be a bummer for those people that are CoCo 1 and 2 folks, but it is the 40th anniversary. It's a reason to celebrate. Maybe we can get a cake or some cupcakes or something. I know we did that a while back for the CoCo 2 or MC10. I can't remember which, but we did cupcakes, so we could do that.
Well, Jim, if you have your 512K upgrade that's backwards compatible with the CoCo 3 ready by the show, you could actually get all the CoCo 1, 2 people involved too.
No, that's true. That's true. And
You
yes,
just have
I
to
hope
sell
so.
them all the upgrades. That's all.
That's right. I'm hopeful. John's really excited about getting it up and running. So I have high hopes that we'll have something hopefully done over the. I mean, this is a great time during the fall and winter to work on projects like that. So hopefully it'll be.
Yeah, and Tim's been helping you with some of the software side of it too, hasn't he?
He has. It's been super cool to it's also been kind of interesting where it says Tim tests on a CoCo 3, and then I'll try the code on there, and I'll be like, and obviously there's things that I have to fix, but then in other cases there's like, Tim, you forgot. I mean, the CoCo 3 like already sets up he was starting up his code originally, and I don't want to diss Tim. I'm thankful that he's helping, but
please do so. He's in the chat, so
yeah. but he's like he started up the code, and so I'd moved all the memory so that it was up the 64K that was, they had the VDG and everything. I moved it all up to the top of the top of the 512K space, and then of course when you boot up the CoCo 3, by the time you get control of the CoCo 3, all those registers have already been set to the top of memory. But the CoCo 1 and 2, CoCo Mem Jr. hasn't. It's not turned on, and so he would turn on the MMU without setting up all those registers, and it would promptly crash. And he's like, I don't know, it works on the CoCo 3, and I'm like, I'm looking through the code, and I'm like, you didn't set any of the MMU registers, and he's like, oh, that's right, I didn't, because they're already set up when you're in CoCo 3. So stuff like that it's not so much an error, it's just more of a things you assume because that's just the way it is, and you don't have to do anything about it, and then suddenly you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
Kind of takes a little getting used to.
I do want to mention Tim actually posted something in news topic suggestions, which I did not put in the news, basically because it's highlighting an article from Creative Computing back in 82 or 83, a one-page update on the CoCo 1, basically, where they mentioned, they've added disk systems. There's now compilers for Pascal and stuff like that. It was basically a one-page, what's changed since the CoCo's launch in the last 2 years type thing. Not really news because it was published back. I actually remember reading that originally back when it first came out in high school because we've got Creative Computing there. But I just wanted to mention, if any of you are interested in reading that article by Scott Norman, if you go to the news topic suggestion channel in the CoCo Discord, he's got a direct link to it, and it's on the Internet Archive, and you can actually read the article.
I also I think Mark on the panel. Mark, are you around?
Marco or Mark? I'm here.
Sorry,
yeah,
Mark
I'm here.
Overalls. Yeah, sorry, Mark Bosley. We should get the Tandy Retro Show in the list here because it's coming up in late January.
Yep, I sent you a message, I think a month or two ago, saying, "Do we need to start promoting this again?" And I didn't.
Oh shoot! And I probably missed it.
It's all your fault.
September is a
go.
crappy month for me for remembering stuff like that. So okay, my bad. So yes, Tandy Retro Show 26 is going to be here and running on the end of January. So
send me the details and I'll add it to the list and we'll mention it every week up until then.
Okay.
Is there a website for it too? If you have that, send a link.
TandyRetroShow.com.
Cool.
All right. Let's get that updated and I'll start rounding up the troops. I mean, the victims. I mean, the presenters. No, we've had a good turnout the last couple of years. It's been really popular and it's been great. So love the one on the Model 10. That was one system I don't remember ever seeing anything about back in the day.
Indeed.
Yeah. Look, it looks like the website's still showing the 2025 stuff. So
okay.
Yep. Now we'll log in and make that right.
So keep your ears and eyes peeled out for our show. We'll have updates hopefully next week.
Yeah, I'll do it. I told everybody that I kind of needed to get through Tandy assembly, then I can work on this stuff.
Yeah, you had a presentation. You're working on new hardware and everything else. So
That's right.
And you had VCF Midwest too.
Oh yeah. 2 shows in 2 weeks. That's I do not necessarily.
That's a
recommend
killer
that
for getting
everybody.
anything else done. Absolutely.
That's right.
And don't worry, Jim, you're not the only person that put me off because of Septandy and everything. So don't panic.
Then the last one I've got listed is VCF LATAM 2026. This is the very first Latin American Vintage Computer Festival that's an official VCF event. And this is taking place the exact same weekend as CoCo Fest, unfortunately. So there's definitely a conflict if you're trying to attend both. But anyway, so it's April 24th to 26th, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Bahia Blanca in Argentina. And there's details there. I've got it actually, if you go into the show notes on the Discord, I've actually got the Google Translate link built in, so you can actually just jump and read it in English, because if you just go to the website on its own, you'll have to read the native language of Argentina instead of English. But this is the first one, and it's looking to be a pretty good one with a lot of different machines there, a lot of different people to see. And that covers all of the events I know of so far. If you have any others that I may have missed, as we just discovered the one Tandy one here, you can send me an email at curtisboyle@sastal.net, or you can just hit me up on the Discord and just send me a direct message. And that's it for the upcoming events and the news.
Wow.
Also, the end of Septandy, because that finished this last week. So,
Yep. Looks like free Saturday now. What do we do?
Yeah, what do we do now?
I slept through the first half. Can we do the show again from the start?
I mean, still
Mark will have it up in minutes.
that's what that rewind button there is on YouTube for.
You
Hey,
know,
it's already up on YouTube.
CoCo Fest is always has the banner of the last CoCo Fest, which is kind of like a downer. Maybe we should have an eternal forward-looking view of it, saying that that we're not even worried about.
That's what the quotes mean.
Yeah,
And if
No,
it, and
you need-
depending,
like it's like we're not
Right,
sure-
and depending on Armageddon or whatever, this may be the last fest. So
You need to
We
call
never are
it the
sure.
last.
It'll be right eventually.
The last CoCo Fest again.
you're right. Again, some more.
How many lasts have there been?
30,
About
30.
30, 33.
It's getting like the Naked Gun series.
It's true.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just newer people.
But
Ron,
that's actually not a bad point, though. I mean, because people that are coming into the CoCo community for the first time, and we've been getting more of those the last few years.
Yeah, they don't know.
May not
the
understand
show,
the
right?
in joke about that. So,
well, I'll see what I could do. There's a fine line between, changing with the times and keeping some of the
traditions.
Keeping some of the traditions. That's right. So, but I agree. I mean, I thought about it weird too when I attended the first one I attended anyway, back in 2015 or whatever. I'm like, wow, these people are kind of morbid. So,
Well, yeah, and then we're booking it for 2 years, so it's kind of like the penultimate fest, not the last fest. So, yeah, where do you go?
Let's consider maybe a vow to carry on until the world ends or something.
Or maybe put parentheses, the last, probably not. CoCo Fest.
Maybe.
Which might be next week.
I like that, because I do like the tradition of having the last in quotes, but you're right, having a parentheses underneath it on like the badges or whatnot, and having probably not, or Ron's good at coming up with cute stuff like that. So we'll see what we can do.
He might be too busy with his special alien spy stuff right now, though.
Wait, we have that CoCo cat, and the CoCo cat has 9 lives, right?
Yes, it does, as far as I know.
We're already 4 times past that, though.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we've whacked that way.
We'd have 4 dead CoCo cats already at this point. That's even more morbid. I shouldn't say that.
show can't be over. I still got popcorn.
Well, maybe we'll, next show or something, we'll open it up as a discussion about what we can do with.
What do we do with the fest?
Yeah.
It won't die, damn it. What do we do?
Yeah. The Atlanta one did eventually go away, so I guess it did kind of come true.
Maybe we can have it like Office Space and drag a Commodore out and beat it with a stick.
Hey, now you get a lot of hate mail on stuff like that. So
Right?
At least we'd
Bunch of Commodore guys.
At least we'd be getting mail then.
Plus, you got to remember, like Micro went and took the hard drive source for the CoCo OS9 and went and shot it all up. So,
Right.
After you beat the Commodore to death, you take the chip out of it that we want.
All right.
Is that
Pull
SID
the
chip that
SID,
Jim's
didn't
helping
beat
make?
it with a
SID
stick.
chip?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Brendan would be going over and grabbing the SID chip out of it for one of his cartridges.
Were you guys demonstrating the stereo version of that? Because I know Norman or Sheldon was mentioning you actually would be able to drive to the cards to do full stereo.
Yeah, I mean, he did that at CoCo Fest. I didn't spend a lot of time at his table at Tandy Assembly, so he maybe did. I don't know. You have to see if somebody else was there. And I know there's a couple folks that are on the chat here that were there, but I didn't. Like I said, I didn't. I saw what he was offering, and I was like, oh, I with limited time, I'm like, well, I talked to him about it at CoCo Fest, and it looks like he's got similar stuff. So I'm going to move on to some of the other exhibits.
Okay. Did Sheldon make it down to Tandy Assembly? I know he was at CoCo Fest.
I don't know. I did not necessarily see him, but then again, could have snuck in.
Okay.
Sorry. And the other one is he may actually have been there, and I just didn't.
You're pretty busy. You're giving presentations. You had your own booth to man. Yeah,
well,
they organized a live, conference of the board of Glenside, and
that's the big issue was, and I know Marlette was also there, so we were together. Mark and I, we had the two tables, and the stuff says, the tables are not necessarily like the physical size of the tables does not represent necessarily your table, what you bought. So we'll have some tape there to show. Well, we got to the Friday night, you could set up. There was no tape there, and so Mark set up first, and I think he just assumed that there's no tape. So the tables are the tables, and so there were three tables there, and so he set up all. Of course, he's got all that stuff he sets up, And then I came in and I set up all my stuff and kind of took the other table, and so that was it. We used everything, and then Saturday morning is when my presentation is, and I'm first. And so I get up, I'm getting ready, I'm going to grab me some breakfast or whatnot, and I see an email from Pete Stinsky, and it says, hey, I need you to move all your stuff, sent to both of us. I need you guys to move all your stuff down because there's actually another vendor. That picture with the analog computer and the pegboard on the back, that was where I was coming in Saturday morning. So here I have a presentation at 10 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock when the show opens, here's Mark and I trying to push all of our stuff, move all of our stuff so that we can make enough room for that other Dayton group.
They had 6-foot booths on 8-foot tables.
Yeah. And so, and then in addition, and I didn't realize this, you showed the pictures for Porta-CoCo. Porta-CoCo was supposed to be on that wall too. So there was two of us, and we evidently were using all the tables for 4 exhibits, which
double space,
which just never would have worked. And so Mark kind of caught the brunt of it, I think, because he was there early, and so he was trying to move his stuff down, and he was interacting with them. And the Porta-CoCo, they came over and they said, okay, we need to move your stuff closer because the Porta-CoCo guy needs a table too. And I think Mark was like, no, you need to find another place for the Porta-CoCo guy. So they moved him up to the front of the room because he didn't need power because he has portable CoCos. So that actually worked out okay. And then by the time I got there and we helped, the Dayton guys helped me move my stuff down so that they'd have enough room to put their stuff in. But it was a bit of a mess. So it wasn't so much that it was hectic. It was a really bad time. And so then, doing all that, and then you do the presentation and everything, and you're just sort of like, wow, what happened? Because it was, we just completely read. And that's the thing, you set up your stuff on Friday evening, like, we do at CoCo Fest. We set our stuff early up, up early, and then when you show up to the show, it's all set. I mean, hopefully it's all set up, and so you're all relaxed and ready to go. And so that was a bit of a
move instead.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bother. You show up and here's people moving your stuff from one table to another.
Now, Jim, I have to ask you, this is probably the last thing I'll talk about here on the show, but I've got a quote from Boys and Tech. Richard Lubieski here says, Jim, don't forget the motorcycle club rolling in at 3 a.m. at Motel 6. What's the story behind this?
So I mean, at the show there, you can stay at the hotel, which is downtown. The prices for the venue are kind of, you guys were talking about how much it costs to go into some of these shows, but the hotel prices at that Marriott are kind of, I mean, they're not cheap. And so often, because I don't spend very much time in the hotel anyway, I just grab a room at the Motel 6 that's right down off of I-70. So it's like, I don't know, 7-8 minutes to the show, to the venue. So I actually was up putting the finishing touches on my presentation at about 2:50 in the morning, and evidently some big biker gang with I don't know how many motorcycles came rolling into the Motel 6 parking lot at, you're right, through 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I mean, as you can expect, motorcycles where mufflers were optional.
Right. 500 motorcycles, not a muffler between.
That's right, not a muffler among any of them. And they didn't just like roll in and shut off the engines. They rolled in and they rolled around, and I don't know, they were very happy about their motorcycles and the sound they make. And you know what? There's a time and a place. I love the good Harley sounder right now. 3 o'clock in the morning is probably not when I would recommend that you run a Harley, but hey, what do I know?
As a
That's time to do donuts in the parking lot.
Yeah. Well, and there is a big parking lot there. There's a pretty big parking lot. The way the Motel 6 is kind of situated, and there's a huge, space for them. So yeah, I mean, I didn't go out and try to figure out what all they were doing, but it did sound like they were running an obstacle course for about 15 minutes there.
As a motorcyclist with a Harley, what's a muffler?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly.
What exactly is this muffler thing?
So
it's a Honda part.
It didn't affect me so much because I was thinking about finishing up my presentation. I was like putting some finishing touches on it, so I was still up. But yeah, for all the people that were there, of course, on the other hand, I mean, it's a Motel 6, right? So you all know
you're not
that,
expecting high class.
I know. So
Right.
you get what you get when you go to Motel 6, and you're right off the interstate. So I guess it's the price you pay, or you don't pay.
Don't pay. Yeah.
Yeah, don't pay.
Yeah, I actually stayed at the Residence Inn straight across I-90 from the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And the price wasn't too bad. $522 for the whole weekend, all inclusive. And they had a breakfast bar every morning.
Well, see, you were living high on the hog then, because there was a vending machine at the lobby of the Motel 6, but that was your options for breakfast.
Yeah,
That vending machine also have penicillin in it.
Hey, the breakfast bar had food, so
did you at least have the coffee machine up at the front desk there, so you can get a coffee before you left?
I don't know. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't know. But I will tell you that I'm probably nearing the end. When I was a young pup and I was going to some of these things, or just things in general, I mean, there was probably very few hotels that I would deign not to stay in. And then as I was getting older, my lower limit for motels is starting to creep up. And this particular Motel 6 may actually be below my threshold now, but old habits die hard, I suppose.
I just want to hear what that story is about here.
Yeah. Nothing special except loud noises at 3 o'clock in the morning down by the interstate.
Yeah. Richard Lubieski is saying they did have coffee makers in the room, so that's pretty well the only necessary thing I have. If they don't have coffee at the hotel, then that's too low bar for even.
But now it's important. I went to CoCo Fest and used an off-brand motel, and they had a coffee maker, but it didn't use K-cups, so I couldn't use any of my snuggled-in coffee.
Jeez.
They use these donut things that.
You're spoiled as Ken.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel so bad for you, Rick. So bad.
I'm sorry, my designer coffee and these special little cups here doesn't work.
Use any of it, yeah.
Then you have to
Although
go to the truck stop 3 a.m. sludge coffee. That's what you got to get used to.
There you go.
I will say though, since we didn't have we didn't have as many Canadian representatives there at last CoCo Fest, coffee consumption was considerably down.
Oh yeah, way
Honestly,
down.
Brian, that was probably just me.
I still remember that the show we went and we were in Elk Grove and we got done and Grant is trying to settle up and I wasn't there. I had COVID and so I couldn't attend. And so he's calling me and he's like, we got a problem. And I'm like, what? And he goes, well, they drank like, 5 gallons of coffee and it's like $30 a gallon. So that's like $150 for coffee. And I'm like, what? 5 gallons of coffee? Jeez. So
Mark B, before we head off the show here, you're gonna have to highlight Kevin Holloway because he's showing the picture of us trapped in the elevator. For those who are wondering what that story is about.
Floor level at floor level. Yep.
I can't.
What?
You can't find the lad?
No, I mean, he's not showing a video. He's just
He's just showing a still picture.
I mean, I can pin, I guess.
That. He's bringing up a picture. There you go. We got CoCo Fest 2019, and that was out in front of that Fairfield, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
There we are.
So
climb on out of there. Yeah.
So this group wouldn't necessarily know it, but for those people who went, so that particular location, the Heron Point location, I mean, that was used for a lot of these kind of shows, right? So not only CoCo Fest, but other shows, and the Vintage Computer Midwest actually started in the same venue that Glen's. I mean, it was the first shows were, and Chicago, the first shows were down in that basement as well. And one year, so I can't remember, Rick, you'd mentioned, if there's not fire engine sounds in the middle of the night, then it's not really a show. So one year, of course, it was in the fall, but the one year they had a wedding party who came during the September time for VCF Midwest. And in that Fairfield, that's not attached to the Heron Point, but in the Fairfield, there was a little room off to the side, which was supposedly a bar that you could rent. And they thought they had rented the bar for after party for their wedding, but it turns out they hadn't rented the bar. So they ended up using that main area that we all used to congregate in. And of course, there was a whole bunch of people in that room already, using their computers and talking and whatnot. So the wedding party came in and they dumped a whole bunch of beer and whatnot there. And they were just kind of getting drunk. They were already drunk when they came in and they got more drunk. And then sometime during the evening, somebody went over to one of the fire stairs, the exit stairs or whatnot, and picked up one of the fire extinguishers and was twirling it around and managed to hit the sprinkler that's on the side of the wall in one of those fire escapes or whatnot, knocked it clean off of, broke the threads or everything. And of course, the water just came pouring out of the spigot, and it turned on the alarm, and the fire engines came, and the basement got flooded. And so we all ended up in the parking lot. People were going, this was an IRC was still a thing. There was a guy who was live tweeting it or whatever through IRC. We were out there for an hour, and then they couldn't keep our alarms shut off. And so all the rest of the night, the alarms kept going off like every 2 or 3 hours because they didn't have any water pressure in the things. And the wedding party ended up getting arrested, taken to the local jail to dry out because they continued to make a ton of noise. So I think that venue kind of invited that sort of stuff. It was just sort of a magnet for that sort of stuff. This wasn't even the. I mean, when you guys said, "Oh yeah, they're stuck in the elevator," and I'm like, "Well, that's kind of par for the course for this place."
And that photo there inspired a video or a music song.
That's right, Rick Adams.
Stuck in the elevator, gotta get home from the CoCo Fest. Stuck in the elevator.
Yeah, it's Bruce Moore.
Admit we don't smell
Bruce
the
Moore.
best. Yeah. Dude look like a lady.
The return of David Ladd.
I was going to say, there's a lot of David Ladd pictures there. Should Kevin, is it just a general set of pictures, or were those Kevin's pics? Because there was a lot of them with David in there.
David Ladd gets around. Yeah. Optic
think
yellow,
I took
optic
those.
orange.
He's practically my neighbor.
I got it. Okay.
He stands out pretty well.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Okay, well, folks, I think that's the show. Thanks, Jim, for coming on as a special guest to explain your blog and your phrase in the gimme and talk about Tandy assembly and flooding basements and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Fountain of knowledge.
Cool.
Fountain of something, anyway.
Okay. Well, here comes the outro.
This concludes another episode of the CoCoNation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCoNation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCoNation show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCoNation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCoNation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server.
CoCo forever.
Oh. Okay. Enough said. See you next
Pretty
week.
much. Yeah, see you next week or Thursday for the Game On Challenge.
8 p.m. Eastern on the Discord.